15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, well, a torn meniscus sounds pretty bleak, but there could be a silver lining here. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you on the Infinity Sports Network. Perloff, just 2 days after we were praising all these rookie quarterbacks, most of the rookie quarterbacks, about how they looked in their first preseason game, unfortunately, we get a significant injury to one of them, and that's JJ McCarthy. He's got a meniscus issue. He's got a knee. We don't really know the severity of it yet. It could be weeks. It could be months, depending on how bad this thing is. They actually won't know until the doctors go in and start to operate, which is, good luck with all that.
It's a meniscus.
Yeah.
That's like an ankle. That's twisting your ankle. That's nothing.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I know that, it's not a setback that you want at any point of your career, right? You want to be healthy. But here's where I'm at with this. It's never really a bad thing when a rookie has to sit and watch. It's not. Whether it was Mahomes, whether it's Lamar Jackson, I don't think there's a bad thing happens when your start to your career is just a little bit delayed, knowing that you are going to get past this injury and it's not something super devastating. So for JJ McCarthy, now the pressure's off. Now he's not going to start the opening week 1. He's not going to be ready. Even if his knee is healthy by then, which would be a crazy timeline, he would have missed all those reps and everything in practice. So in some ways, I think it removes a little bit of the pressure from the Vikings, who I think had a real decision to make after McCarthy appointed himself so well after that first preseason game.
I mean, I agree with you in principle. I think they've wanted to start Darnold all along. And I said this in the spring. They have this brutal first half of the schedule. They want Darnold to take all the slings and arrows, and then they have this easy second half, easier. Right. And that's when they start McCarthy. Honestly, I think you're being naive if you think that this is Darnold's job for real. This is a Kurt Warner, Eli Manning. My buddy Case Keenum has had this happen 6 times in his career. Where you sit, they throw the veteran out and then give it a couple months. And you're right, it does help the time frame. It does take a little pressure off KOC. What I actually thought was this makes it a full rebuilding year for the Vikings. Now, nobody's going to kill Kevin O'Connell if they're 7-10. Right. I think it gives Kevin O'Connell. I think he already had another year, but I think this does help this whole thing. And so in spirit, I agree with you. It's less pressure on him to make a move here. But I don't think that. I think it was going to be Darnold all along because they're treating Sam Darnold like Steve Young over there. They keep on praising him even before this injury. Yeah, my God, he's getting sharper and sharper as training camp goes on. So maybe he has. I'm not sure, but it does seem like they've been putting out this narrative, even with McCarthy playing well, that, oh, man, Sam Darnold's great.
Well, if it's true and if Darnold does get this resurgence with his, I guess it would be his 4th team, right? Jets, Carolina, 49ers, and now Minnesota. This would be rare. It doesn't generally happen this way, but let's just play it out. If Sam Darnold does have this great season, like Kurt Warner was actually having a good season when he was the Giants quarterback and Eli Manning was sitting there, and they eventually went to Manning no matter what. I don't know if the Vikings would do that. This is not Eli Manning who forced his way to New York and it became this big story. This is JJ McCarthy, who is coming off of a national championship, but that was a team that was a run-first team with a stifling defense that was not a quarterback-centric offense. I think if Sam Darnold actually is doing well, then JJ McCarthy's not seeing the field for the season. That's the, I think if you're a Vikings fan, that's not what you want, right? You actually don't want Darnold to be so far ahead going away that McCarthy never sees the field. I think what you want is a little in the middle. You want McCarthy to sit for now, get healthy, watch Darnold, and then around mid-season or something takes over. You don't want to do a whole season of Darnold. Just a half, a little, sprinkling.
Right, and that's what's going to happen because you say Sam Darnold doing well. Sam Darnold has no chance to lead this team to the playoffs. I'm sorry, their schedule is insane. They'll just pull it up. It's crazy. They're in the NFC North with the Lions, the Packers, the Bears. Just start there. So that's what I'm saying. There's no pressure on Kevin O'Connell to win. This is maybe it pushes the time frame back a little bit, but watch out. It's going to be a week 6 between week 6 and week 8. bye-bye Darnold, no matter what happens.
Oh, see, I'll disagree with you on that. I think if Darnold is playing well, especially if he does get through the beginning half of this, the schedule, which you're right is tough. Let's go through it with people. You're at New York to start the Giants. Okay, maybe that's not so bad. But San Francisco, Houston, at Green Bay, the New York Jets, and that
London.
game's in London.
Yeah.
And then you get to your bye week and you got Detroit and the Rams coming out of the bye. It's not easy. If Darnold gets through that stretch, they're not benching him.
Gets through it how?
Like, if they have come out of that stretch with a winning record.
Impossible.
Okay, well, let's just play out a hypothetical here.
But that hypothetical makes no sense. There's no way Sam Darnold's going to beat the Niners, Texans, Packers, Jets, Lions, and Rams.
Listen, I may agree with you, but I'm just saying, if he does do well, you're saying they're putting him over, to borrow a wrestling term. They're putting him over. They're praising him so much. If he does do well, I don't think this is a situation, we mentioned the New York Giants in 2004, where they automatically were going to Eli Manning no matter what happened. This is not that situation.
Why not?
Because I don't think JJ McCarthy, first of all, I don't feel like they think they need to play him at all this season. If we're asking what the Vikings are really thinking. And I don't think it's going to be the clamoring. I don't think that Eli Manning, there was like a lot of pressure to start him in year one. There definitely was.
In New York?
Yes, because Eli had done this whole thing to get himself to New York out of San Diego. This is not that situation. And
I feel like JJ is not that dissimilar from Eli. I mean, JJ has a lot of experience in college. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Eli. Like, kind of coming from...
Not the way he runs. They're very different quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. Eli could move a little bit when he was younger, but I don't think like Eli, they were 5-4 when he took over. I understand it was Eli or bust. That was a very strange situation because they probably would have made the playoffs with Kurt Warner. But I think that JJ McCarthy seems very poised and mature. He's not a green pride, despite the fact that he never got to throw at Michigan. Yeah. He doesn't feel at all green to me. So I feel like if they're 3-4, regardless of how Darnold plays, say they're around 500 or below 500, very realistic. The fans are gonna be like, "What are we doing here?"
I think the question: do you think we're going to see JJ McCarthy this year? I'm not convinced that we are. Again, if Darnold appoints himself well and he plays well, and you have McCarthy coming off of a knee injury that we don't know the full severity of, this whole first season could be a wash for McCarthy. And ultimately, in the long run, it might help him because you get to sit, you get to watch, there's no pressure. You get to let all the other rookie quarterbacks take on all that pressure of what this class is going to be like. And, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, these guys who were fitting for gold jackets after one preseason game, you almost just take yourself out of that whole race. And this could end up being a silver lining for him, but I'll disagree with you that he's not getting on the field no matter what. I don't think that's the mindset in Minnesota.
Okay, I'm assuming this meniscus is 2 to 4 weeks and he's back. I think he takes over week 7 against Detroit after the bye.
Man, throwing him out there against Detroit? Yikes.
Yeah. I'm not scared of Detroit's defense particularly. I mean, listen, Detroit's secondary was bad last year.
I know you're going to be in a shootout, something that JJ McCarthy's never been a part of. Well, TCU, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly where you want him to play. What kind of team do you want him to play?
He doesn't throw the ball enough.
Oh,
the reason why Michigan won that national title is because the opponent couldn't get past Michigan's 35-yard line.
I think you want him to look good. I think that Detroit's a great spot here because coming off the bye. Maybe they lose that game to Detroit, they lose at the Rams, and you bring him in against Indy. He's got a little run against the AFC South. That's a good time. I just think if you're not at above 500 at a certain point in the midseason, then you got to get McCarthy some reps. Like, what's the point otherwise? You're right. He hasn't thrown a lot. So what way is there to make sure he's ready for next year? Get him out there throwing the football.
See, I think that's always what this comes down to with rookie QBs when we're talking about JJ McCarthy as a knee injury. It's like, do you do the trial by fire and throw him right in there that first year and get him those live reps and do the sink or swim thing? Or do you let him sit and you let him watch and learn? And I think that history has shown, well, probably a mixed bag, but I think history is more shown when you get to sit, it's all ultimately better off for you. And the recent examples of that are Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And I think that, throwing a guy in with a team that's not awesome, you're right about that. The Vikings are not this awesome team. So what are you doing? What's the rush? And I don't think the coaching staff's on the hot seat. You just drafted a new quarterback and you're an offensive head coach. Like, they're not going to fire you right away.
All right, we'll see. I'd like to show bet this one.
What's that? That he'll see the field?
He'll definitely see the field. The other thing, too, is it's a reminder, he tore his meniscus doing who knows what. He's 21 and tore his meniscus. Every NFL quarterback gets hurt, and you know that. By week 18, whoever three depth spots behind him is going to be on the field, too. We are going to see JJ McCarthy this year, Maggie. I'm guaranteeing you that.
855-212-4227. Should we hear just a little Kevin O'Connell, the head coach from the Vikings? Can I hear cut 6, please, Manny? Unclear on the timeline and the recovery.
As far as the timeline of the injury, that will be something determined during the procedure based upon, whether it can just be a cleanup or potentially a repair. That won't be able to be determined until that procedure takes place.
And so once he gets in there, then they'll figure out what's going to happen. Here's O'Connell on the disappointment given how much McCarthy had been improving.
I, had a very, clear-cut plan and really was going to continue through that with JJ on the field, getting more and more reps and obviously coming off of a performance like he had where we felt strongly about where he was at in his development process. So really it's just, you hurt for him just in the short term here because he, had such a, daily process focus, all those things that I was really looking for in a young player at the position.
Yeah. I mean, now that pressure's off. It's off. Like the clamoring from the fan base, the temperature gets turned down on everything that has to do with McCarthy now until we know the severity of the knee injury. And you know what? Silver lining might not be a terrible thing. Might not be a terrible thing. He's going to recover. He's going to be fine. This is not devastating. This is not microfracture surgery or something that could be a little dicier, and even now that's recoverable. This is something that everyone just has to take a big deep breath. Not a bad thing, and I wouldn't start him the whole year if Darnold's playing well.
That sounds good in August. But listen, the reality is when your team loses, which is very likely for this team, unfortunately. I mean, can you name 3 defenders on that team? Nobody can. Then bad things happen. There's yes, we're sitting there like, this is great. Kevin O'Connell can just chill out for a year. You never know in the NFL. We know that. And listen, they're an interesting team building too. Their GM Quessy has made some interesting choices. I'm just saying, I don't know if everything is going to be kumbaya if Sam Darnold is 2-7. It's going to be bad. And all this good feeling. I mean, you're painting a good picture. Sam Darnold's a quarterback, and Kevin O'Connell is no pressure with JJ McCarthy. Come on, do you really think it's going to work out like that?
855-212-4227. Okay, when I look at the other side of the glass, I feel like I'm seeing a presidential ticket for the year 2050. In the future. You got a Pat Boyle, Manny Rodriguez ticket with EJ also, if you guys all look very debonair. It's something about the glasses.
I guarantee you I will never be allowed to run for president.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would never
Your
vote
background check might take about 30 seconds before they're like, nope, he's out.
But Manny, yes.
Manny's clean.
I'll be like the on-edge vice president. We'll be the good cop, bad cop role.
Do not want me leading anything.
That's the type of confidence we want out of you. 855-212-4227. Okay, we get it started with what's going on in Minnesota, but that's not all we have for you today. Perloff's favorite topic, back on the front burner. Will he or won't he be traded?
Oh, my God. Not this. It's so funny. Oh, my. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just the 8:30, my timeline got hit by the funniest headline regarding this person. I'll tell you what it is after break because I'm like, oh my God, all this garbage time we spent on this man, and it's just going to be business as usual.
We'll get to that in a moment. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. I think everyone here is going to owe me an apology. In fact, all of America is going to owe me an apology. But I'll tell you what, Maggie, and you are going to have to go first. Okay. If Brandon Aiyuk just signs a $29 million a year contract with the San Francisco 49ers in the next few days or next weeks, I want all the time we talked about Brandon Aiyuk this summer back.
We can't get it back, Perloff. Time's a flat circle, man. It's gone.
If he does that, if all these trade rumors and all this contract back and forth with the team ends up with a very normal wide receiver contract, exactly where it should be, then I am going to cry foul. We got suckered into this vortex of a debate between a team and a player, and they maybe just been negotiating the whole time. This is just agents and team general managers playing us and the media back and forth so he can get the deal that he was going to end up with all along.
Okay, well, then you shouldn't be asking me for an apology. You should be asking the 49ers and Aiyuk for an apology. They're the ones who held us hostage. All I did was talk about.
Yeah.
It's their fault, not our fault.
I mean, we need a trade now, or it's going to be a major disappointment. He better go to. If he doesn't go to the Steelers, then I'm going to find out who his agent is and put him on blast because this
terrible job, sir.
No, I mean, like,
Or
listen,
ma'am.
this is every time I feel like teams and players are just negotiating, and now they're using the media as a tool. Not now; they've always done that.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like maybe Aiyuk and the Niners have been lying to us all along.
I think they're lying to us now. I think they're lying to us more now than they were all along. And the real lie that I think both sides are trying to tell us now is that they always wanted to be together. I don't actually think that's the case.
Why?
Maybe at a certain price. Because I don't think you're shopping a guy before the draft if you really want him. And that was not just hearsay. That was real. They definitely were trying to get an upgrade, trying to replace him. And so now to say, and I think Aiyuk maybe did want to play with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels looking pretty good. Not that Purdy's not, but maybe he thinks that the Commanders he gets in on the ground floor and, they're a rocket ship or something. I don't know.
Well,
I don't want to be told
maybe.
now that, we always wanted to stay together. It's like, no, you didn't.
No. Or maybe he was just worried his team wasn't going to give him the $29 million a year, and he was creating buzz via social media, and you fell for it.
Yeah, then you didn't.
I did not. I never once thought he was going to Washington because that timeline didn't work out. Yeah, I mean, by the way, he still could get traded. This is not off the table. He still could go to the Steelers. But I do feel like this summer has been just, oh my God, all these people going back and forth. Will we pay Tua? Will we won't pay Tua? Will we pay Jordan Love? Will we not pay Jordan Love? I mean, come on, NFL. Is there everybody's getting paid. They're all getting insane contracts, and Aiyuk is going to be, in the next few days, he's going to get paid by Pittsburgh or paid by San Francisco. And it's like, shut up already, NFL players. Just sign your deal. I'm not falling for it anymore.
Well, it's funny because all these guys are getting signed, yet the Cowboys players remain. And nobody's really sure if they're getting signed. I don't think Dak's feeling probably that confident. Maybe.
There is one exception. The team that is all in was not signed. You're right. We're going to come out of this offseason with everybody, maybe Jamar Chase in Cincinnati, who's still holding in. Maybe he won't get signed, but it feels like Dallas is going to be the incredible outlier. What does that say about them?
Tough business, Jer. 855-212-4227. Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. We've got more on Aiyuk for you, including what the insiders are all saying. Those guys. What's up, folks?
Guys, good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Teams that win gold together, party together. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and some other VPs are on a mega yacht in Saint-Tropez following their gold medal win in Paris. Thankfully, somebody took and shared a picture of 7-foot KD coming down an inflatable slide with his hands in the air like he's a 6-year-old on a slide in the park. Is this
the new background of your phone and
It
computer?
might as well be. I love this picture. I think he's my favorite. I really do. I know he should put his phone down and not rage tweet after winning, amazing semifinals. But he loves basketball. He's really good at it. He loved playing for Team USA. He just bought a piece of PSG. He's a huge supporter of women's basketball and women's sports. And now he's just having the time of his life in his little bathing suit going down the fun slide like he's on below deck. Like he's got it. He's basically got it all.
All that's missing from that photo of him going down the slide is just wee.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a shame that you're getting to Durant so late. He had he's been playing basketball for over a decade.
I've
You could
heard
have been his
rumors of
biggest
him.
fan.
Wait,
now you're
wait.
getting to him and he's 35 years old.
Wait. You really like Kevin Durant, or was that just a bit you were doing right there?
I think he's had a glow up, Durant.
Like recently? Like he's
This
Kevin
Olympics.
Durant?
I think this Olympics helped him because it made him look like not the last that we've seen of Durant the last couple of years is asking for trade, forcing trades, butting around with Kyrie Irving, who also has kind of turned around his public image recently, very recently. I think Durant was kind of in the dumps. This Team USA run definitely helped him in the public eye, right?
Yeah, but he's not changing as a person. He's still the insane person who's on Twitter with $200 million in the bed. To borrow a line from my friend Jimmy Traynor, what kind of idiot with $200 million goes on Twitter and responds to people? I mean, that's insane behavior. Can we all agree with that? Like, why he's like answering tweets? He doesn't need it for money. Like, why is he on there?
Also, it's not even people who are tagging him.
No,
He's searching out his name.
Yeah.
Like,
what is that? I mean, you have money.
And then he's
in
having
the bank.
Shirley Temples on a yacht going down slides.
I know. Clearly, he's winning. He's won through all of this.
You guys, okay.
And I got a question for Bogus. Do you simp for all athletes that totally annihilate your franchise?
Oh, my goodness.
Wait, who's Bogus's franchise?
Listen,
He's a Nets fan.
I'm a Nets fan, but let's not pretend that I spend an iota of energy on Nets things right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait,
he's also the backup play-by-play.
Yeah, you call games for them.
But from a personal perspective, I understand what Kevin Durant did. I'm having fun with the picture of a dude who's literally larger than all of us going down a slide like he's a 4-year-old.
It is a pretty fun picture. The art, it's great because they saved the picture for the last one.
Yeah.
It's like the exclamation point of this like album that you have to scroll through. So brilliantly done by whoever posted it, because it's really like it lands because he's got his hands up in the air for some reason. Like, just go down the water slide, man. It's funny.
He's almost too long for the slide. Like, he's not on the slide long enough because he's 7 feet tall. He's still got on his hands in the air.
Wait, can I just get a poll here? Everybody here likes Kevin Durant. Like, he's like, wow, that's a cool dude. I want to be like, hang out with him.
No.
I
Really,
appreciate the offensive greatness, but no, from a personal standpoint, I dislike him.
That's the thing. I think he got a little back with this
Yeah,
Olympic run.
I think that's a good point.
I'll never respect him as much as I should or as much as I could because of what he did leaving OKC to join Golden State. That I'll never get over that.
A lot of people won't.
That's like 3 moves ago.
There's some sins that are not forgiven.
Going to Golden State, you mean because of where he went and they were already established
Yeah,
as a winner?
blowing the 3-1 lead and then say, all right, you know what, I'll join the super team that I couldn't beat.
We said that the day that it happened. I remember being on the air. It's like, this is a fine move and you're welcome to do it. It will live with you forever, though. And I think it has.
Yeah, I think he seems like a really nice guy, but I just think I think you think this glow up has changed things. I think wait till 6 months later when the Phoenix Suns are struggling. You don't think he's going to fire?
How can they struggle? They're on a boat together. They're two best players.
Because I'm just saying, because they're going to be bad. They're going to be. You don't think that there's 100% chance that Suns team disappoints? We're all agreeing on that.
Dougie's in the chat said, I want to see a picture of Big Zoo on that water slide. Don't we all?
Except for the slide.
Well, the slide might object. Ouch. If Zoo ended up on that yacht, I wouldn't be that surprised, actually. Of all the people who work here, I think he's the most likely to find his way somehow to that party. Yeah, EJ.
Well, you say that, but I mean, the last time he was in this kind of elite NBA circle, he almost got thrown out of an arena.
That's true.
We learned when he was in State Farm Arena wearing a Knicks jersey at a Hawks-Knicks game, a home game for the Hawks. So
you're right. He would
be there, but he'd be there. But I feel like you might be seeing like 3 or 4 like armed men like grabbing him and pulling him off the slide.
Yeah, Big Zoo. Big Zoo is a great time, and 99% of people would love him. But all it takes is for one person who has power-making decisions to say, "That guy, get him out."
It's not going to take just 3 guards to get him out, by the way.
I thought you were talking about Kevin Durant. I'm like, Kevin Durant wore a Knicks jersey to a Hawks game? I want to know. How can I not
You
remember
missed that scandal?
Yeah, wow.
That was the Big Zoo scandal. If you have not, we realize the pictures are a little theater of the mind. If you want to chuckle, go online, take a look. Kevin Durant going down the water slide. It's a good one. Let's get to some more headlines.
The NBA gave us another gift yesterday, the full in-season tournament schedule. Make your plans now. Last season's fun resumes on November 12th with the Knicks in Philly and the Mavs at the Warriors, which means Klay Thompson's return to the Bay Area.
Who cares about that? It's about the Knicks, baby. Who cares about Klay Thompson returning to the Bay? It's about the Knicks playing the Sixers, right, Perloff?
Well, I mean, you're making the classic Knicks fan that think the NBA regular season means a single
We're
thing.
talking about the NBA Cup, man.
Yeah,
in-season tournament.
I would like it does no in-season tournament regular. Watch the bit of wear out the team again and like play as starters 47 minutes to win that game and then completely bow out in the first round because everybody's hurt. Enjoy.
We kicked your ass last year.
Enjoy.
Wow, a first round exit? That's what you're predicting for the Knicks?
I watch how many minutes this in-season tournament. Thibodeau's like, if we, I'm going to play Jalen Brunson. I'm going to play him 52 minutes if it goes into overtime. I'm just saying, this is the regular season champs in New York Knicks. They should win this tournament.
I was going to suggest a field trip to go to this game because it's in Philly, right?
Yes, this one's in Philly.
I'm allowed in this arena. I would suggest a field trip, but you know what? No. I don't think it'd be fun. I think it would devolve into fist fights.
Me and Pearl sat courtside at a Knicks game.
And
and a Sixers, and we were fine.
Yeah, because you had to be on your best behavior because you were sitting next to Dolan. Like you couldn't do it.
You think EJ would have been the
literally
problem?
sitting next to him.
I didn't have to be on my best behavior. I think you were the one that had to be on your best behavior. I was going to be rooting for the Knicks regardless.
You had to hide your Sixers fandom, or else he would have dragged you out of there.
I was good.
Just out of principle, I will never go to an in-season tournament game in my entire life. I think that it's still the stupidest thing that has ever been in all of sports. In fact, I think it's so bad that the NBA's made all these TV deals. I think it's going to sink the NBA because people are going to realize what are they trying to sell us? This is garbage.
Well, I think the Lakers will probably approach it a little different this year.
Yes.
Maybe. Just because I don't know if this is like the causation, or whatever the line is, but the Lakers definitely won that in-season tournament. They definitely took it really serious. I mean, the regular season games, and then you have like the extra games, just 2, right? But then they went on this skid after. Remember, the Lakers had this really big dip right after they won that in-season tournament. This is something that will tear our show apart when they write the obituary for the Maggie and Perloff show. Be like, what doomed the show? Be like, the in-season tournament.
No.
We all couldn't get along.
Let me ask you a question. Would you rather go to a joint practice of a football game or a preseason game or a summer league game or an in-season tournament game? How about a spring training game with the minor league teams?
I'm telling you, the Lakers are raising a banner for this.
Yeah, and it's idiotic.
And we fell in love with Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers in the IST.
Who probably got him to the Team USA.
Yeah.
Speaking French over there, Bogus? Go to Paris? Who's we?
Yeah, nobody here fell in love with Tyrese
I just think
Halliburton.
the in-season tournament is anti-competitive. It just says the NBA Finals, winning the NBA Finals should be the only goal for every NBA player, not to win some in-season tournament. It's like Michael Jordan he probably would have cared about that, but it's all about the title. It should be all about the title to try and give the second place. It's like the Intercontinental Championship in the WWE. It's not good.
Just like that. Michael Jordan.
I think it's a good comparison, actually.
Michael Jordan would have tried to make somebody homeless by taking every part of their money, savings, life savings, future savings for something way less. Of course he would have been all in on the in-season tournament. He wanted to win everything.
But he would have stayed up till 4 a.m. the night before gambling.
Yeah, and then he would have walked away from the final having won it and never mentioned it again and taken no trophies, no banners, no nothing. He would have won it for the sake of winning it, and then that's it.
We have months and months to argue about this. Is there anything else going on?
Yeah, baseball. All 3 teams near the top of the NL West won last night. The Dodger victory, of course, included one of these.
1-0, and Ohtani rips this one to right field, way back, upper deck. And the show rolls on in Milwaukee, his second home run in as many games. And the Dodgers lead it 2-0. Home run number 37 for Shohei Ohtani.
Which leads the National League. The Dodgers a 7-2 victory in Milwaukee, which maintains their 3.5-game lead on San Diego and Arizona. The Padres blanked the Pirates 3-0. The Diamondbacks stunned the Rockies 4-3 on Jake McCarthy's game-ending 2-run single. San Diego and Arizona keep their 4-game lead on the Braves for the top 2 wild cards since Atlanta won in 10 in San Francisco 4-3.
Wait, real quick about Shohei. He is now hitting longer home runs than probably anyone since Barry Bonds and maybe anyone in MLB history. I mean, he hit an opposite field that went 450 the other day. Yeah. Do you now agree that they should just hit this guy? I mean, how can you risk this? He's the, I know Aaron Judge is hitting home runs too, but he's arguably the greatest hitter of the modern era. Don't you have to protect that and protect his arm and not risk losing him to elbow surgery or something if he pitches? You would still try and pitch him despite the way he is hitting record home runs every day?
Yes, because in order for the Dodgers to actually win the World Series, most likely he's going to have to pitch. And I know they keep adding arms and adding at the deadline, and it's the Dodgers. And history will show you they always run out of pitching or the pitching doesn't show up. They need him to pitch, I think, to realize that, get the whole Shohei experience. Also, they paid him $700 million. I realize this is in installments of $999 or whatever for the next 100 years, but still, no, the pitching has to be the thing. And by the way, even if he ever hurts his elbow again, you can always hit. Hitting will always be there for him. There's nothing. It's he could come back, pitch for a couple of years, say he hurts his elbow again in 4 or 5 years. Like, he can always still go back to hitting.
If he has full Tommy John, I don't think he can go like real full Tommy John. He can't come back and hit immediately.
So he had Tommy John, then he had whatever this was that they're being really cagey about. That was maybe not a full Tommy John.
He had like the Bryce Harper had the same thing, like the half Tommy John.
Right. And Bryce Harper came back and was fine. Didi Gregorius said there's other guys who can come back from Tommy John and hit.
But this idea that they need him, I just think that pitching's so arbitrary in the postseason. Like, the Dodgers already spend millions of dollars on their pitching staff anyway. I just think you got to protect this guy. He's going to win 5 straight MVPs as a hitter. I would not want to risk that, but that's just our difference of opinion.
I mean, what wins in the postseason? Pitching
Middle
over
relief.
hitting.
Yeah, but
that's what Shohei could do. He could come in.
Go ahead. Predict like which pitching staff will be hot, and like to say, Joe, you have no idea. Like all of a sudden, the Diamondbacks rotation gets smoking hot. I just think there's a randomness to it. Anyway, sorry.
To me?
Yeah, sorry, Bogus.
No,
I cut you
good.
off with my Shohei rant.
Here's a change in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase was not at Bengals practice yesterday. The first one he has skipped while holding in. Head coach Zach Taylor said nothing's changed. They're still taking this day by day. And UFC President Dana White said yesterday Conor McGregor's next fight will not be this year. He was scheduled for a June bout, but suffered a major toe injury during training. We did not know when he'd be back in the octagon until this yesterday. Guys, back to you.
Bogus, thank you so much. Let's lay out the show just a little bit in case you guys are wondering. So it's Wednesday. We do Great Debate. We're actually going to do that at the top of the hour, a little bit different. Usually we do that at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to do it at 7 a.m. Eastern time because at 8 o'clock we have Ian O'Connor, who has written a new book about Aaron Rodgers, a deep dive into Rodgers' whole life. So that's going to happen at 8. So just a little programming note there. Coming back with your phone calls. We see you guys. And also the one thing that is making Perloff lose his mind today. Not the in-season tournament. Something else. We got that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Generally, Perloff, I think you're in good shape. Like, you keep yourself active, you stay away from the sweets, stuff like that.
Thank you.
This Brandon Aiyuk thing is going to put you in the hospital. You are so out of your mind about the summer of Aiyuk. I worry for your blood pressure. Like, I never worry about you physically. You really take good care of yourself.
Well, you don't have to, because it's going to end and no one's ever going to talk about it again. It's going to be like it never happened.
But
it's going to be the forgotten summer of Brandon Aiyuk.
I think it did damage to, like, your arteries and stuff.
No, it's just again and again, the NFL, it's really this summer. This summer has put me over the edge on this whole free agency cycle. Now that social media is so big, the NFL and the teams are playing us, and I'm done with it. I'm over it. I can't do it anymore.
Are you boycotting?
I'm boycotting. I'm not paying attention. If I think that this guy's actually going to sign and they're just using social media to gain leverage, I'm out.
Okay, I think we should do a experiment on the show about every time we're going to talk about somebody's contract in the offseason, Perloff has to replace that story with another story that you find more interesting.
I'm going to be the dude, but I'm going to do, this NFL player is doing a charitable event.
Great.
Put the audience to sleep with that.
Nothing sells like philanthropy. Ronnie is in Birmingham, wants to talk about Aiyuk. Good morning, Ronnie. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
We're great. What's up?
My opinion on it, I'm a diehard 49er fan, and the problem that I have with it is that he asked for more money. We offered him $26-27 million a year, which is, I think, was a very good number considering he's not a top 5 wide receiver yet.
Right.
And the Patriots offered him the money that he wanted. So what really is the problem? Because you got what you wanted, which was the money. The Patriots offered you that. I personally would have liked it to trade with Cleveland a little bit more, because I would have been stoked to have Amari Cooper, because he had over 1,200 receiving yards with Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
So my offense would have picked right back up on the train that it was with Amari Cooper. I'm just, at this point, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I just want it to be done. If he's going to go. If you're going to stay, because this hasn't went on just 2-3 weeks. It's been the whole offseason.
I know, Ronnie. It's been months. And, you're so right, Ronnie, about I get the frustration, and you laid it out perfectly there. And thank you so much for the phone call, making salient points. when the Patriots come in and reportedly meet your number, what is this about, right? Because if it's about getting paid, well, here you go. You might not win for a while, but the Patriots are offering you the bag. So, like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to thread this needle here, either take the money or come back to the 49ers and play the season.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you were Brandon Aiyuk and you got offered, let's say, $28 million from the 49ers or 32, let's say 29 from the 49ers or 32 from the Patriots, which would you do?
Well, depends. Am I in this for every last dollar? Or, do I think that the 49ers can actually win? They've gotten so excruciatingly close. Do you think you're going to make up that money if you are a Super Bowl champion and you stay with a team? Like, would you make up that money on the back end by being part of the 2026 champion San Francisco 49ers? I don't know.
I'll answer the question. I'm saying with the Niners. I am not going to the Patriots right now because I'm sure over the life of the contract, there's, as you said, you can make up a little bit of it. I'm sure it's a minimal difference.
But how many wide receivers are getting 2 contracts? Tyreek Hill? Not many.
How old is Aiyuk? 25?
But again, once a guy hits 30, it's rare you're getting another huge bite at the apple. This is not quarterbacks and pass rushers.
I just think it's, we're talking about say $96 million total versus $83 million total or something like.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, and after taxes, and especially in California, it's going to be a lot less. But I just think this is what you have one career in the NFL. You do not want to leave San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan to go to a total unknown in New England. I understand his philosophy. Maybe Cleveland be a better spot, but even that, and even Pittsburgh. I would not be thrilled about Pittsburgh if I'm Brandon Aiyuk because they never have a consistent passing offense. Well, they used to with Big Ben back in the day, but it feels like they don't want to pass the ball. So if I'm Aiyuk, I do want to stay in San Francisco, and he's comfortable there.
I get it. There is a love for the Pittsburgh Steelers that players have. It's a love for Tomlin. It's a love for that organization. Let's get a little update from one of the best NFL insiders. It's Mike Garafolo. So this was him on NFL Network last night. Here's your update.
What I've been told is that Brandon Aiyuk would prefer to stay with the 49ers and has always preferred to stay with the 49ers, all things being equal. Now, they haven't been equal, but they did make that offer. In fact, both sides sent proposals within the last, couple days, week or so. And the 49ers number has gotten better than what it was previously. And they have, from my understanding, they have agreed on a lot of the main points of the deal. Their offers are in line, but it sounds like there's just one more thing that needs to be ironed out. And if that thing gets ironed out, Brandon Aiyuk signs the deal. He stays with the 49ers.
Hey, what's the last thing?
I think it's like an espresso maker or something. I was just thinking about what's the one thing in that deal. I have no idea.
It's a 2-bedroom condo in Santa Clara.
He wants Taco Bell in his house like Davante Adams.
Yes, great point.
I mean, wouldn't that be something? I wouldn't fit through the door if I had Taco Bell like that Davante Adams commercial where he just wakes up and has a Taco Bell in his living room.
Yeah, no, that always plays having a fast food restaurant in your house. But no, I don't think that's what Aiyuk is talking about. But that quote from Mike Garafolo came on the heels of Ian Rappaport reporting that the Steelers are also making a legit offer. I just feel like Garafolo had the final word last night on NFL Network, and what I heard was like, this is all much ado about nothing. He's re-signing.
I think it's patching it up now, and now everyone's trying to save face. To say that they always wanted to work this out, that's not true because they shopped him before the draft.
Well, if they
wanted it to work out, unless we could get a first-round pick from the Jaguars, then goodbye. Then pack your bags because this is something you say to try to smooth it over, like because the relationship is obviously gotten tested this offseason. But to say, he always wanted to be here and we always wanted him to be part of our team, I just don't think that's true.
I think it's been a negotiation all along where they want him on their team at a certain price. They do not want to break the bank for Brandon Aiyuk.
Right, and that's the 49ers problem, not Aiyuk's problem, right? We talked about
this.
Well,
it is his problem because he wants to stay with the 49ers because he knows that he works really well in that offense. He has chemistry with Brock Purdy. Like, it is his problem because he wants to be there.
Okay, but if Aiyuk if there's a trade to the Steelers on the table, I think he's accepting it. I just think he didn't want to go to New England. If it's Pittsburgh,
I don't think so.
Guys,
he might accept it. He might accept it, but I think he'd have a strong preference for San Francisco because also Pittsburgh's in a brutal division. Like, he probably wants to win. There's tough defenses over there. I think
Well, what do you think Seattle's going to be rolling out this year? What do you think the Rams are going to throw out? I mean, there's going to be some good defenses in the NFC West, too.
Seattle was one of the worst defenses in the league last year.
And that's why they got Mike McDonald, the defensive guru.
Yeah, I'm just. You really think that the NFC West defensively compares to the AFC North?
Well, not this season, maybe, but I don't.
I mean, you got Myles Garrett, you got the Ravens machine, and you got Lou Anarumo in Cincinnati. If I'm anybody involved in a passing game, I'm staying in the NFC West.
Right, but I think Seattle's going to improve defensively.
And maybe be middle of the pack.
And I think if Sean McVay's staying with the Rams, I think that they are going to throw something really good out there.
You know Aaron Donald's gone, right?
I do know he's gone. Yeah.
And then you got Arizona. But it doesn't matter, though. You have Kyle Shanahan and you have this great offense. I think there's a lot of pluses there. And he seems to be developing into the number one guy there. Debo will probably be gone in a year or two. Kittle's going to retire. Like, this is a great opportunity. The guy wants to be a leading receiver. I just think it makes all the sense in the world to stay in San Francisco for a marginal amount of money. Pittsburgh is a bad idea, Maggie. There's no quarterback. Russell Wilson's getting $1 million this year, then could be gone.
Listen, if they do pull off the trade for Aiyuk, the Steelers I'm talking about, it's got to start Wilson. I've been a proponent of Justin Fields this whole time. I've said they should have done this backwards. They should have started Fields and have Russell Wilson come in as the closer, right? Like, he's the Joe Flacco of Cleveland last year, where you have the steady hand who, if you need it, he comes in to take you down the home stretch to get you into the playoffs, like the Steelers always find a way to get into the playoffs. But if they actually did get Aiyuk, I think you got to go with Wilson, and they probably will anyway, because at least Wilson has a more consistent arm to be able to actually feed Pickens and Aiyuk. Right now, Justin Fields, as much as his talent is like very tantalizing and he can run and all of that, like, I just don't believe that he can push the ball down the field, in a consistent way.
Okay, this sounds like a rationalization by you.
Oh, because I was wrong about Fields?
You saw Justin Fields not throw the ball the entire preseason game, and you're like, oh, okay.
If they get Aiyuk, take the snap.
If they get Aiyuk, they should go with Russell Wilson. How about the fact that I don't know, that sounded like you sounded like a front office executive of an NFL team. Well, we're just deciding to go with Russell Wilson because of the way the roster worked out. Yeah. Justin Fields would just not throw the ball. He got sacked every time.
It's a problem.
I don't know why. I think he's got a little mental block because he's so talented. Regardless.
No, you've got to be able to take the exchange from the center. That's what is scaring me off of Fields.
If you're a wide receiver in the NFL and you have a choice between Kyle Shanahan as your offensive coach or Arthur Smith as your offensive coach, and you, unless it's a lot more money, go with Arthur Smith, then you should have your head examined.
Do you remember that survey that they gave the players and they asked who was the coach you'd want to play for the most? And Mike Tomlin won by it was like a landslide. I think, guys, you're right. Obviously, you want to play for Shanahan and not Arthur Smith. I totally get that. I just think there's an appeal about Tomlin. It's either the stability, it's him as a person, probably both. I think there's just something very, very appealing about him to players.
And what free agent has gone there?
Well, it's at the organization, though. They don't seem to swim in the deep water like that.
I think he'd have to have his head examined unless the money was way better. Because also he's probably the second most talented receiver already on Pittsburgh. I mean, Pickens is a monster, and he just never throws him the ball. He's amazing.
But Pickens, is there something else going on there? He always seems like he's at odds with the organization. And I get it last year because Matt Canada, as the offensive coordinator, was a zero.
I know coming in the draft, there was a lot of quote-unquote character questions, but I feel like Pickens has settled down. He handled it, not getting the ball pretty well last year.
Didn't he scrub his social media and make
But at the end, he came back and I think he got 0 targets or something in one of the key games. Maybe it was a playoff game. I don't know. I just think that's Arthur Smith will spread the ball around to non-first-round picks. He'll get Aiyuk there and never throw him the ball. You never know.
It'd be a massive waste of money. They shouldn't be in this at all.
Also, it could be a Super Bowl. San Francisco, you could win a championship in San Francisco. You probably won't make the playoffs in Pittsburgh this year. I mean, the odds, Vegas says you're not. So I just don't get it. I think it's a no-brainer, and I think he ultimately will. I mean, I could be wrong. Watch the trade go down an hour. I think he's going to re-sign. If he could get $29 million, which puts him right above Jalen Waddle for 4th in the league, $29 million. I think that what happened ultimately was the Niners saw how much money wide receivers were getting around the NFL because they thought, okay, we could just replace him. Now they realize, oh crap, wide receivers getting expensive. We have to keep this guy because it's not going to be as easy to just plug in somebody else.
I think you're right. I mean, because there's two schools of thought here. Either you're not going to pay a receiver at all and just keep trying to draft the replacements, but I don't think that's smart when you've got a team as good as the 49ers. You're here on the doorstep, you know?
Yeah,
you can expect Ricky Pearsall, who's been hurt this entire preseason, is going to step in and all of a sudden be catching huge passes in an NFC Championship game. Like, it's not going to – that's a big risk.
Yeah, I mean, still, if you got a first-round pick from the Jaguars, maybe a top 10 pick, that'd be pretty juicy too. So I think it's always been a calculus.
Coming up, it's Wednesday around here. We do something called the Great Debate. We're doing a little early today. This one is a doozy. I'm excited about this. What do we pick for our Great Debate today? I'll tell you what, it's shrouded in controversy. Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Captain Big Zoo at the helm with a flare, a joint in his hand, salt breeze in his hair. With first mate Andrew Bogus rolling greens by his side, they navigate not for gold, but for a chill smoky ride. Oh, puff, puff, row, Big Zoo keeps it slow, laughing through the mist, where do they even go? No medals to win, they've got their own high, under the high seas Olympics, beneath the smoky sky. Big Zoo's laughter echoes over ocean waves so fast. Stay chill, steer easy, his motto from the past. Which way's the race? He chuckles, cloud of smoke in the air. Bogus with a smirk, who cares when you're floating on air? Oh, puff, puff, row, Big Zoo keeps it slow, laughing through the mist, where do they even go? No medals to win, they've got their own high, under the high seas Olympics, beneath the smoky sky. Big Zoo's boat might wobble, but their spirits never dip. With every puff and giggle, they're on a fantastic trip. Olympics or not, they've won their own game. With a stash of good vibes, they enjoy their fame. Around them competition, but they're just in bliss. Big Zoo.
Get it with Snoop to your double chill on the beat. Parents got a problem, Mickey Cully ain't discreet. Olympics coming fast, but the water's not neat. Gotta clean it up, make the competition sweet. Snoop's in the house and he's laying it down. In Paris where the river's supposed to wear the crown, but there's trouble in the water, yeah, it's going around. While Peter Buddy's on the sideline, not making a sound. Now Peter Bellotti ain't fazed by the fuss. While the city's in a hurry, he's missing the bus. Olympic fever high and everyone's a rush. Peter's laid back, in the calm, no crush. Athletes train hard, dreams big, they trust. While Peter's in his world, the side lives robust. Paris may hustle, sparkle and bust, but Peter Bellotti's mind is clear from Olympic dust. As the world tunes in for the gold, the glory, Peter's got other tales, another story. Not about the races or the podium's top. He's cool in the shadows where he doesn't flop. Back to Snoop, with a message so clear, trying to fix the waters before the Olympians cheer. Yet there's Peter Bellotti, sipping on his beer. Olympics might roar, but Peter just doesn't hear. In a city famed for lights, art, and more, Peter Bellotti finds his peace not keeping the score. While rowers row and swimmers soar, Peter's vibe is different on his own shore. So as we close this rap, take it from Snoop, we're all in this game, in every group. But remember our man Peter Bellotti, unique in the truth, marching to his beat in his own loop. Get it with Snoop to your double chill on the beat. Paris got a problem, Mickey Cully ain't discreet. Olympics coming fast, but the water's not neat.
One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining.
Maggie's got some giant feet. They're the talk of
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Little teaser for you. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Wednesdays around here, we do something called the Great Debate. We usually do it at 8 o'clock Eastern. It's 7 o'clock now. We have IanOConnor, who just wrote this incredible book about Aaron Rodgers, will join us in an hour. All the stuff about his family, about rumors about his sexuality, about his relationship with Favre, his conspiracy theories, his triumphs. I mean, it's an exhaustive book. It's really, really good. So we'll do that in an hour. Right now, Manny, let's hit it. Let's do the Great Debate.
The Great Debate Series.
All right, well, we still got Olympic fever around here. The only cure is more cowbell? No. We have Olympic fever. We are looking back now. The Olympics are over. And asking today, what is the biggest? What do you mean, biggest or greatest?
I would definitely go biggest. Some of these are not great.
Yeah, that's true. The biggest Olympic scandal of all time. This one had a couple. I don't know if 2024 is going to rise to the occasion with anybody.
Right. I think we like to have a little hook. Jordan Childs losing the bronze obviously is not going to raise to the level of greatest Olympic scandal of all time, but that was a little scandalous.
There were a couple things. We had, some tainted meat that was eaten by some Chinese athletes.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
There could be a couple things from this year's games that might make it in.
You really think there was tainted meat? What are you talking about?
Again, it's the story. I'm just reporting the news.
Well, Andrew Bogus, of course, believes the Chinese story that they weren't taking PEDs and thinks that they did eat tainted meat. Oh, my God.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Nobody does anything in Bogus's world. But please, go ahead.
This is so unfair.
That's a holdover from last hour. Who's taking steroids, who's not. That will be a great debate for another time. Let's talk about Olympic scandals. That's the Great Debate today. The biggest Olympic scandal of all time. And Perloff, I'm going to let you have the floor first.
Well, I was thinking about doing a sprinter, but it turns out every sprinter since the 1950 has been caught doing something. So this is a useless thing to do. I am going with the all-timer, of course. Is there any other scandal that they've had a fictional movie about starring Allison Janney, one of my favorites, I, Tonya? Of course, if we include winner, the Nancy Kerrigan, Tonya Harding thing is by far the funnest and biggest scandal. Because you realize how crazy it is that the competitor actually had somebody take a lead pipe to the knees of the front runner? It is so obvious and weird, and the people involved were incredible. It was all-consuming at the time, and I just think it is by far the biggest, juiciest Olympic scandal.
Why? I don't know, some hard black stick. Something really, really hard.
I mean, come on.
Ow. Hard to hear. I think the names of that scandal are also incredible. Jeff Gillooly. It's like you can't make up a last name like that. There's some serious characters. You're right. That's a good one. We're doing the biggest Olympic scandals of all time as our great debate today. And mine, unfortunately, is an extremely sad, a very serious outcome. But I think the biggest Olympic scandal has got to be Oscar Pistorius. I'll set it up for you again. He was the South African double amputee who was the first ever to race in the Olympics, not the Special Olympics, in the Olympics, where he ran the 400 and ran a relay for South Africa. The stardom of Oscar Pistorius, his feel-good story, how he was an inspiration, only makes the fall from grace even that much higher, where he claims an intruder came into his home. He got a gun that was under his bed, fired 4 shots into a locked bathroom. It turns out his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp, who was an actress and a reality TV star, was in the bathroom. And then it was a whole trial about, did he actually know that she was in the bathroom? Were they having an argument? This thing played out in our lives for months. He got found responsible and got sentenced to more than 9 years. He's just recently been paroled. Let's hear a little.
We can confirm that there was a shooting incident this morning at the home of the well-known Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius. At this stage, we can confirm that a young woman, a 30-year-old woman, did die on the scene.
Did I say Special Olympics before? I meant Paralympics, and I apologize for that. But it's hard to understate just how big of a star he was and how gigantic of a fall from grace this is. That's why I think this is the biggest Olympic scandal of all time. All right, Pat Boyle, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, so I was going to go with recency bias, and then I remember, I want to be a prisoner of the moment. So we had the Jordan Childs thing. I was thinking of that, but then you know what? I woke up today, Maggie, and I decided to pivot. And I'm going to go 3 years back for recency bias. And Perloff said it feels like a sprinter has gotten caught with everything over the last 60 years. But something as harmless nowadays as a little bit of weed was enough to suspend Sha'Carri Richardson, who has, when we look at overall Olympic athletes, she's probably top 5 in terms of popularity. So the fact that she could not participate in the Tokyo Olympics because of a little ganja, I think is a little ridiculous. This was her apology statement 3 years ago.
I would like to say to my fans and my family, my sponsorship, to the haters too. I apologize as much as I'm disappointed. I know that when I swim on the track, I don't represent myself. I represent a community that has shown me great support, great love. And to y'all, I feel y'all.
I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I understand if this is
out of the Braves bullpen.
I understand if this is 30 or 40 years ago, 3 years ago, where we have come as a society, a little bit of weed, and you can't participate in the Olympics. I mean,
it's a big scandal.
It's a big scandal. It's a stupid scandal. I think it's one of the dumbest bans of all time here. That will never make sense to me.
There you go. We're doing biggest Olympic scandals of all time. That's our great debate. Go ahead, Manny.
I'll go back to Rio 2016. One of the young and up-and-coming swimmers by the name of Ryan Lochte decided to act a fool in Brazil, essentially lying to everybody about what went down. And here's a little bit of Ryan.
That's not me, is getting mad and angry and like wanting to fight or anything like that. But I was upset that we got pulled out of the taxi for, I thought there's no reason for a gun to be pulled out for us for doing nothing.
Ryan Lochte, again, one of the young swimmers at the time. We expected him to do so much at the 2016 Olympics and on, and I feel as though here we are, 2024, and this is the main topic when Ryan Lochte's name comes about.
Yeah, they made up a story, essentially. They over-exaggerated a story about being robbed at gunpoint, and then it turns out it didn't actually go down the harrowing tale that they had first said. And Lochte, who I interviewed several times and was a really nice guy, a little bit of a mimbo maybe, but had this sort of Rob Gronkowski thing going and was super popular, and all those sponsorships went away and vanished.
Oh, didn't he? So the dating show was before that?
Yeah.
Regardless, I don't think anyone ever thought Ryan Lochte was a rocket scientist.
No. Nice dude, though. Okay, EJ, go ahead and we'll let Bogish have the last word.
Okay, so we've done a lot of dark stories. We've had lead pipes to leg. We've had unfortunate shootings. I just want, good old, clean steroids. That is always the thing when it comes to the Olympics that we're all fascinated by. And I know Perloff mentioned that we've had plenty of sprinter PED stories, but we've had none like Ben Johnson in 1988. Man, you could play cut 24.
Start, and it's Ben Johnson with a start. Can Carl catch him? No! It's Ben Johnson! Ben Johnson does it again! Unbelievable! 9-7-9!
The urine sample of Ben Johnson was found to contain the metabolites of a banned substance, namely stanozolol. It's an anabolic steroid.
So Ben Johnson won the gold medal, beating Carl Lewis, setting a world record at the 88 Olympics. This was huge. I mean, there's a 30 for 30 on it that's really awesome. I actually watched some of it last night to remind myself of how crazy this story was. These guys had this rivalry that kind of started in 84 and went up all the way up until the 88 games, where Lewis was this American hero and Ben Johnson was kind of this nobody who, through training and steroid use, became this megastar in track and field. And he ends up beating Carl Lewis, setting this record. And then because of the treatment he had for his hamstring injury, in which they did not do the steroid applications correctly so that he couldn't get popped during the test, he gets suspended. They take away his gold medals. He's banned for life. And again, what I found interesting about this was, especially when I watched the documentary again, was just the hypocrisy around the Ben Johnson situation, because it was well known by that point that many sprinters were using PEDs. In fact, probably a lot of Americans were using PEDs, but just the way that Ben Johnson got caught, ostracized from the sport, and really became the poster child for doping in Olympic athletics. I think there's no question this has to be the biggest Olympic scandal.
That's our great debate day, the biggest Olympic scandal of all time. The Stanozolov, that's the OG stuff right there. That's the guys get popped for that. It's like, oh man, you really put yourself out there. That's the bulk of stuff.
But it was the 90s. Everybody was doing. Like, I think
true.
McGuire and Sosa used that stuff.
Yeah,
that was the thing quickly about Ben Johnson, was that, like, this guy looked like Barry Bonds on a track. Like, this guy, he looked like he was 230. I mean, I've never seen a guy this big running running in a 100-meter dash. I mean, I don't know how anybody could have not thought he was on steroids.
This was not the subtle stuff. We'll put it that way. Okay,
yeah, that's the big needle right in the cheeks.
Right there. Okay. Biggest Olympic scandal of all time. Bogus, you get the final word here.
Which I'm honored by, and I usually complain at this point that you guys have taken all of the good things away from me. I can't believe this one was there for the taking. It was my very first thought when this popped up. We're going... continuing my KD and Devin Booker love, we're sticking with basketball. This is the 1972 gold medal game, the U.S. against the Soviet Union.
Now the clock shows 3 seconds. There is time for the Russians to go to their big man, Alexander Belov. They're going to try. Alexander Belov between two American defenders. Back there with him, Jim Ford and McMillan. And the Russian team has mobbed Alexander Belov. And this time it is over.
They win, the Soviet Union, on that Belov lay-in at the buzzer on, I believe, their third try to inbound, given 2 extra chances to survive the final 3 seconds after go-ahead free throws from Doug Collins. Favorite's not the right word. The most unbelievable part of this is that team from 1972 still refuses to take the silver medal. They did not go to the medal ceremony. The medals are in Switzerland, and I believe some of the men have it in their wills that their families are not allowed to ever accept those medals after the fact. That is how upset that team rightfully remains 52 years later.
The emotion of Doug Collins having his son give him the gold medal from, is that London?
Oh, because Chris Collins was an assistant.
Now I don't remember which one. That was a really powerful moment. Okay, biggest Olympic scandal of all time. Go back around the horn really quickly. Perloff went with Nancy Kerrigan.
Yep.
I went with Oscar Pistorius. Sorry, we've done a lot lately. You went with Kerrigan. I went with Oscar Pistorius. Boyle went with Sha'Carri Richardson. Manny went with
Ryan
Lochte, thank you. EJ went with Ben Johnson, and Bogus just went with the 1972 American basketball team losing to the Soviets, an extremely controversial ending. What say you? 855-212-4227. I see a lot of good ones in the chat here. The Atlanta bombing. I didn't think about that. That to me didn't feel like a scandal. That was beyond a tragedy,
Well,
right?
and obviously Munich.
And Munich too was a hostage situation.
Yeah,
It was
I mean-
terrorist group. That to me wasn't so much scandal as terrorism, right? Very different.
Yeah. I think we all kind of put those to the side.
Yeah. And Dan and Dave, do you guys remember that? They said
Yeah.
not so much a scandal, but maybe just a facepalm. I do remember all of those Nike ads leading
Yeah.
up to the games, and Dan and Dave failed to qualify. That was the thing, right?
Yeah, in my mind, I always associated Dan and Dave with Dan Patrick. I have no idea why, because I think, what year was that?
Does that lead up to 96?
Well, that was Dan Patrick and Keith were taking over SportsCenter. I think they did some things with Dan O'Brien and Dan Patrick. He's like, Dan, that was my Dan back then.
Yeah,
anyway,
same.
Dan and Dave was huge, but I don't think that's a scandal.
No, they just couldn't qualify.
Yeah. I also didn't see a second of that event this year.
What's that?
The decathlon.
Is that still there? I think I might have seen something.
How could it not? I mean, isn't it like one of the original things?
I think I did
assumed
see a little bit. I know Steeplechase got a lot of attention.
Yes. I saw, like in the afternoon, that was when track and field was on when I was home watching Peacock, and I saw the women's of the version of it. I think they had the heptathlon, but I never saw the men doing anything decathlon-ish.
And that was like back in the 70s when
The thing.
now Caitlyn Jenner,
Yeah.
like that was how you determined who the greatest athlete was in the world,
Right.
right? Okay, 855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in. The biggest Olympic scandal of all time. That's our great debate for today. Coming up, we get back to football. Unique endorsement opportunity for one NFL quarterback. Get to that. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Maggie's got some giant feet, they're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk cracks, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating lakes for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating lakes for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. She's the funniest girl in all the land. With her giant feet, she's never beat. Maggie's big feet make life so sweet. Oh, Maggie's big feet make life so sweet.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining.
Andrew Bogusch loves Katie, but not just for his 3-point spree. It's the water slide that makes him cheer.
45 seconds remaining.
Down without fear. Kevin Durant on a water slide, laughing all the way, taking a wild ride. Not just a baller, he's got that glide. Andrew's favorite can't be denied. He's not just dunking, he's splashing too, sliding down fast. What a view, no defense needed, just pure fun. Katie and the water slide #1. Kevin Durant on a water slide, laughing all the way, taking a wild ride. Not just a baller, he's got that glide. Andrew's favorite can't be denied. So when he's not on the
Today's
court,
question: greatest and biggest Olympic scandal of all time. Give you a couple here. Perloff, I think I generally don't concede the floor here. It's a debate. You said Nancy Kerrigan, though, and I mean, it's the most unique. I'll give you that.
I got to call you out on yours.
Why?
Oscar Pistorius, that's not an
huge
Olympic scandal.
He was such an all-time famous Olympian, first Paralympian to compete in the Olympics, and then he accidentally maybe murders his girlfriend, but then they charge him with it and he goes to prison.
No, I'm not denying it was a massive, massive story. It was all-consuming. But when you say Olympic scandal, that means somebody cheated at the Olympics.
No, but he got famous off of the Olympics. That's the only reason why we knew who he was. He didn't have any other claim to fame besides being the double amputee, so I felt like it fit.
Yeah,
The double amputee who competed
I felt
in the
like it was a stretch because if someone says, "What's a great Olympic scandal?" immediately, this is every 4 years we watch somebody try to cheat. So you got to go cheating. That was my only thing.
I mean, the Ryan Lochte story that Manny picked is also very unique. To embellish / lie about getting held up at gunpoint in a Brazilian gas station because you were out partying and didn't want people to know about it. That
Can I call out Boyle's
unique.
pick too? You said that she was a top 5 Olympian. You mean right now, or do you mean of all time?
I would say in terms of popularity right now, over the last 4 years, she's top 5 in popularity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right now.
Well, excluding our NBA athletes.
I would just say the fact that she came back kind of dampens that scandal a little bit, and that she kind of righted the ship.
Listen, in the chat, they are claiming Sha'Carri Richardson will once and forever be a widow.
She is a widow.
She's one of us. One
of us.
Yeah.
But her scandal, the fact that she came back and killed it, just sort of to me.
Yeah, but the fact that she got suspended for smoking weed.
Well, I know, but listen, it is against the rules.
If we were doing stupidest Olympic scandal, that would be that. And not her. I'm saying the rule itself. I agree with you. It was insane, but
there's a couple more out there. I mean, there was an entire Oscar-nominated, I think it won the Oscar, actually, the documentary called Icarus, which outlined the Russian doping scandal, of which the Russians are still paying the price for. You can't compete now under the Russian flag for part of that, partly that, and and other things.
Invading
Ukraine has something to do with it as well. I get that, but this was a state-sponsored they're literally like passing drugs through an air vent. I mean, the story's unreal.
Never happened.
Whatever. I don't even think that counts. Like Russian doping scandal, like that's like saying the sun is out on a Tuesday. Means nothing.
The documentary won the Oscar. All right, let's hear from you. 855-212-4227. Rich is our buddy in California. Rich, the biggest Olympic scandal is what?
76 Montreal Olympics, the East German swim team who came out and looked literally almost like guys.
Yeah.
They were massive. And that might have been the precursor of the internet or the nationally sponsored steroid-ish era.
I think you're absolutely right. You can draw the line. And we talked before about the Stanozolov, the stuff that Ben Johnson, that was EJ's pick, the stuff that Ben Johnson, the Canadian sprinter, this was like the bulky stuff, you know.
Right.
These days, I think you get a little more designer steroid type of things like HGH. It helps you recover quickly. This was to bulk up and look like Hulk Hogan or something. And that's what those East German women look like.
Yeah, and I think the East German women's swim team became like a pop culture joke. Like it was referred to in sitcoms all the time. Like, oh, you look like the East German swim team.
Yeah.
So it became like kind of like Russian doping, just like a baseline fact. By the 76 Olympics, Rich, that's Sugar Ray Leonard, right? You just got to be thinking about that. Montreal, too. I always hear Montreal. That is one of my favorite athletes of all time. Sort of became super famous there. That was a great Olympics.
It's a little bit like baseball, though. If you're not cheating, you're not really trying.
And that's why this topic is so juicy. Rich, thank you so much for talking about the biggest Olympic scandals. Kevin is our future tour guide in San Antonio. Kevin, the biggest Olympic scandal is what?
Well, I think that one of the scandals when I was like growing up in high school was the 1980 Olympics.
Yep.
The 1980 Olympics, it was involved with Russia and Afghanistan, which is the war that started it.
Yep.
And the United States boycotted it.
Yep, the largest boycott in Olympic history. You're right, Kevin.
Trying to squeeze in a couple of the game. Oregon, Ohio State. That would be super fun.
Ooh, that's cool.
Except turns out it's in Oregon, not Ohio State.
Well, I mean, with your map.
Oregon's a little out of the way from New York to San Antonio. How you sort of take a loop around the Pacific Ocean. I would be on the road for an extra week. I mean, that's
the Canada
far.
route. There you go. Just go.
That's far from everywhere. By the way, speaking of 1980 Olympics, you know who would have won a gold medal in the 1980 Olympics?
Skis Nehemiah.
Ronaldo Nehemiah.
Yes,
was he strong? So, you know, my tweet yesterday, I said, no one on the show has ever heard of this man. Do you know who he is? And it's an SI cover of Ronaldo Nehemiah, Skeets Nehemiah running, and it went super viral, and everybody is so excited about this now. All the olds are like, yeah, that's Ronaldo Nehemiah. You have no idea. He was the #1 track star in the country, tried out for the NFL. That's like what if Noah Lyles tried out for wide receiver. This was such a huge story. So I'm glad I got to teach the young people on the show something.
I think that SI cover is awesome, too.
Yes.
It's him in the full Raiders gear. Right?
Niners.
Or Niners gear,
Yeah.
excuse me. And he's running, and he's jumping hurdles at full speed holding a football. It's
Yeah.
a great idea. For him.
And many people pointed out that he took one hit over the middle and he's like, I'm good. I'll go back. Yeah.
I don't blame him. All right, keep them coming, guys. The great debate today, the biggest Olympic scandals of all time. Bogusch has headlines for us outside of the scandals.
Well, gang, along the lines of tuna jello, cotton candy burritos, and ranch dressing ice cream comes mayonnaise cologne.
They try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success. Luscious, eggy, smell like greatness. Will Levis, number 8, Parfum de Mayonnaise.
Yeah, you heard that. Hellman's and the Titans QB announcing their unholy union yesterday with that softcore porn commercial. It's not exactly all the Olympic bulges, but there is Levis six-pack and him handsomely eating mayo on white bread. All of this
Unhinged behavior.
All of this because we learned during the draft process 2 years ago that Levis puts mayo in his coffee like a serial killer.
Yeah. Prof and I tried it, by the way. It
Of course you
was
did.
awful. It was so much worse. I would have rather eaten the banana peel, which is the other thing he eats, allegedly.
So this obviously could be marketing. Is he really this weird? I'm trying to figure it out.
I hope so. I mean, we can all only hope. This is the one thing about a mayonnaise fragrance.
Oh, there's one thing?
Why?
It works other
Where's
than
Nancy?
this one.
I'm in favor of it because I love mayonnaise, and I don't care who knows about it. But even as the biggest mayonnaise fan maybe in the world, as I was raised on the stuff, the smell is the worst part of it. Like, no one goes to mayonnaise for the smell. It's what it does. It's how it enhances your food in other ways. I don't think it's a great smell.
Yeah, I share your love of mayonnaise. I mean, maybe not to the extent that you do, but mayonnaise is a great thing. People saying mayonnaise is gross in response to this yesterday will always perplex me.
Yeah. How do we break down on the show mayonnaise, no mayonnaise? Manny, you are against. Oh, you're pro.
I love mayonnaise, but this is making me irrationally angry.
Well, by the way, I'm sorry. There's not really a fragrance, right?
No, we're just talking.
It's a Hellman's ad.
Yeah, I don't care. This is so stupid.
This is what gets
This
grinding
is so
your
dumb.
gears.
This is so dumb. He's doing this for attention.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't put mayonnaise in his
No,
coffee.
it's a paid ad.
Stop it. He puts creamer in his coffee. That's it. Enough with this mayonnaise garbage. He doesn't do it.
No,
all
he
right?
did it. He
Enough
told
with
us
this
on the show that
attention-grabbing garbage.
Manny, we had him on, and he said, I never do that. I did it on Dare.
I don't care. I don't care. Stop wasting our time with this.
Is this because you're such a big fan of coffee and want the purity of not putting mayonnaise in it?
I just don't. I like coffee. I like mayonnaise. Don't put them together. Don't put them together. I want my coffee. I want creamer on my coffee. I want a nice little mayonnaise on my ham sandwich. Maybe a little bit of turkey.
Yeah.
That's it. Keep them separate. I don't want them together. I'm over him trying to get attention because look at me. I put mayonnaise in my coffee. Shut up,
Manny. I've never seen you this hot. You are raging right now. You're the most mild-mannered person I know. You're the happiest person who works here. How does this happen? All right.
This is the thing, Manny, and I don't want to make it any worse, but there actually is mayonnaise cologne. Now, it's sold out at the moment, but there was a thing that you could buy.
Really?
Keep them away from
to
me.
Spritz on yourself.
Keep
Yes.
them away from me.
You're kidding.
Fragrance notes.
Hold Manny back.
Tart lemon, mayonnaise accord, parsley, coffee undertones, musk, and creamy vanilla. The fragrance is rounded out with creamy vanilla, adding a sweet, comforting finish. This note balances the tartness of the lemon and the creaminess of the mayonnaise, creating a harmonious blend that is both inviting and intriguing.
Wow, Bogus, you could do cologne ads. That was great.
Yeah.
But it's sold out. And it was only $8. I would have gotten it for you,
Who is
Manny.
it by?
No.
It's Will Levis number 8. Who's it by? It's
Wait,
by...
so is there really is a fragrance? I don't buy it. You're making this up.
All right.
That's not a thing, dude.
New
That's
bag.
fake.
It's 100% a thing. It's willlevisnumber8.com.
So it
which
is a thing.
Yeah.
But that's just a
You
novelty
should really
act.
pay attention to the show meeting.
No, I'm just saying. I still think this is just an ad for Hellman's awareness.
How
There's
about
no
this?
real fragrance.
If the Titans win the Super Bowl, someone's got to drink it. Someone's
Manny's
got
gotta
to
drink it.
drink the cologne.
Get that away from me.
Oh, Manny.
By the way, does anybody
We found
think,
Manny's thing.
I'm going to bring it to football for 1 second.
How
You know
dare
how we
you.
call
Thank
Derek
God.
Carr the Bermuda Triangle of quarterback evaluation? Nobody
Yeah.
knows how good he is. I have not seen one person who's figured out if Will Levis is good. There is no one on earth that knows because he has a dream team around him. He's got Pro Bowl receivers left and right. He's got good running backs. I have no idea if he's good. Does anyone know?
He's got a good arm.
He's got a good arm. He looks the part. He can run. Is he good?
Don't worry, though. He puts mayonnaise in his coffee, though, so he has that redeeming quality. That
Breakfast
weirdo
of champions.
creep.
Manny. This is the
Well,
thing.
dude, if he's a Pro Bowl
Manny
quarterback, Manny, and you win
great,
a bet
the
on him,
Pro
are you going to be?
Bowl. Oh,
Are you
Pro Bowl
like the
quarterback.
mayonnaise thing?
Let's throw roses. Let's put him in Canton. He's a Pro Bowler. Woohoo!
So, Manny, you're going to say you can never get over the mayonnaise thing, even if he's Joe Montana?
Bro,
What are you talking about?
I'm just tired of him just begging for attention. That's all that it is.
Does this go back to Penn State? Like, are you?
I don't care that he left Penn State.
Okay.
It's great. Okay, great. He went to go get some playing time at Kentucky. It worked out for him. Not as great as he thought it would because he thought he'd be a first-round pick. That didn't end up being the case, probably because he puts mayonnaise in his coffee like a weirdo.
This is a staggering level of irrational anger.
It is big. But, Manny's like, again, you're the happiest person who works here, and this is just a real heel turn.
And Levis loves the Knicks. I'm surprised that you could have such a discord with a fellow Knicks fan.
Oh, yeah.
Levis is a Knicks fan? I thought he was a Philly guy.
Trust me.
Stop spreading this information around here.
There are some bozos in the fandom. I can confirm that.
What you guys have any problem with Will Levis being the only guy with cut off sleeves in the entire NFL? He shows the guns. That doesn't bother you? That's way worse than mayonnaise. Attention.
All he does is for attention. Everything he does is for attention. That's all that Will Levis is.
Yeah.
You realize we've talked about Will Levis now more than any show in America.
Just
in this segment alone.
Please.
Mission accomplished, baby.
Kind of a big deal. His girlfriend alone probably has more Instagram followers than everybody in the NFL.
I think ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Broke up?
The chick from the draft?
No.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She saw the light.
EJ, wait,
Thank
what?
goodness somebody has
EJ
a
seems to
brain
have
around
intel
here.
on this. What happened?
Well, that's what I've been trying to tell y'all. This is the Victoria Fuller effect. This woman who is the ex-contestant on The Bachelor.
Atta girl, Vicky.
Who is now his new girlfriend.
Oh,
this weirdo commercial happening is not surprising. I tried to warn you guys a couple weeks ago that this stuff was going to happen with Will Levis. And this is just clockwork.
Blame the woman.
Anybody, it's not necessarily blame her, but anybody that's been with Victoria Fuller, they start acting weird. She always comes out pristine, looking fine. She's a beautiful woman, but she has left men in shambles. And 1 week with this guy, he's doing cologne with mayonnaise in it. I mean, did I not try to warn you guys? Did I not try to warn you guys?
You did, EJ. Your love of this show is also just doesn't really fit your personality. It's like Marvel, comic books, The Bachelor. But anyway.
What's Goodfellas?
We'll figure that out another time.
EJ, I don't think we're the target audience, bro.
But here, the mayonnaise stuff with Levis started long before she came on the scenes. To be honest, this is the natural conclusion of this whole mayonnaise thing.
Right, but he's not he does wear the cut-off sleeves, but he's not a pretty boy. He's a tough guy. I mean, he likes to show his workouts. He's a big, strong. But he's not I'm a model, and look at this smooth voice. And I'm gonna spray
pretty
this in my
funny.
face.
Yeah, I think
that's
it's
not
funny.
That's not him though. He takes himself very seriously. There was nothing about Will Levis in that.
Dude, he ate a banana with a peel on just to make people laugh. What are you talking
He
about?
literally was showing off. He's the only guy on the internet who still shows off his biceps after every workout. And he's a quarterback. He takes himself very seriously.
Right.
And now he's doing this.
I liked it, but I'm a huge Helmets fan.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah, I don't know how
I love
people eat
mayonnaise.
Miracle
It
Whip.
was funny. The dude was spraying mayonnaise cologne on him. What's not funny about this?
I think it was pretty good. We have time for one more, Bogues. What do you have?
The Chicago White Sox still haven't won back-to-back games since late June.
World Series back on.
This time because of Juan Soto.
Here's a 3-2. Soto drives another. Deep right field. Way back and gone. Goodbye. A 3-homer night for Juan Soto. Oh, he's sensational. It's all Juan Soto tonight in Chicago.
Our friend Emmanuel Barbari on Yankees radio at Soto's first career 3-homer game. He provided all the offense in this 4-1 victory, and then Aaron Judge called Soto the best hitter on the planet. So again, we had people yesterday saying that Monday's loss to the White Sox was the worst of the season for the Yankees. Does that mean yesterday's win is the greatest of the season? How does that work?
Well, if it's coming from the brain of Sean Morash, I have no idea what tomorrow
and
could
other
possibly
idiots.
Hold. It was pretty impressive from Soto. 855-212-4227. Thank you so much, Bogish. Let's quickly hit Robert in Texas. Our great debate today is the biggest Olympic scandals of all time. Robert, you have one we have not mentioned yet. Go ahead, sir.
How y'all folks doing this morning?
We're doing great, sir. How are you?
Pretty fair to middling. I was wondering that Greg Louganis was a diver, and as far as I remember, he won some medals, and he was going to go to the Olympics, and he banged his head while diving over in San Clemente or San Gabriel, and when he got tested and all that, they found out that he was had AIDS.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember that?
Yeah, so this was Greg Louganis, known as one of the greatest divers of all time, right? A generational talent. I'm just getting caught up on the story because I remember it 6 months before the 88 Seoul Olympics. He was diagnosed with HIV. And after he came out publicly in 1995, people in and around the sport began to question why he didn't disclose this when he hit his head on the diving board and was bleeding. We know that wouldn't. Anyway, so this became a pretty big scandal.
Yeah.
That was a massive one.
Greg Louganis was a incredibly famous Olympian.
Yes, he was.
Like probably more famous than any Olympian that we have now, almost. I mean, he was a huge cultural figure. That was a big deal. It reminds me, though, by the way, about diving. I can barely watch diving.
Oh, because they get so close to
their heads get so close. Even the best in the world are in danger of hitting their heads at all time. They're incredible athletes. I would never have the guts. I like sort of walk out on the little diving board and jump out. And I can't do it. And I can't watch my kids dive. Does your son dive at all?
No, he just learned to swim. He's 5.
Yeah.
Clicked.
Wait till he's like, oh man, I want to do some experiments here on this diving board. It is terrifying. That was a huge scandal. But I still when you say that, just hitting your head on the board is my worst fear.
Yeah, let me just, the end. John Ward was the chief HIV/AIDS surveillance at the U.S. Center of Disease Control, noted that the incident posed no risk to others because the blood was highly diluted by the pool water. So nobody else got infected or anything like that. It just became this huge scandal. Did you happen to see there was a video of regular people and they put them up on the high dive and asked them to jump off?
No,
and
that's funny.
They can't do it. It's like,
oh yeah, I get that.
The highest platform,
the highest
that's like 30
platform.
feet or whatever.
Yes, and people can't. They just can't bring themselves to jump off.
I would never be able to do it.
I could jump off it. I don't think I could dive off of it.
I've been on some high platforms.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I jumped off a huge rock in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Like into a quarry or something.
It was like on this nature walk near Yellowstone, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life because you are falling for so much longer than you think. You know. Okay, we got to take a break. Thank you, Pat. Biggest Olympic scandals of all time. You are welcome to weigh in. Coming up, we check in with the most interesting college football coach on planet Earth. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. All right, let's check in on our favorite and one of the most exciting college football coaches in the sport today.
Our favorite?
Well,
what are you, Gus Johnson?
Daily Deion. Let's go. All right. We'll wait. We do check in on DeionSanders a lot. I'll give you that he's the most intriguing. He might not be our favorite, but he's the most intriguing. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, he's almost like in a separate category. You know, like you can't compare him to other coaches. He's so intriguing, right?
We have filibustered enough. Here you go.
Daily. Do you believe that? Deion. You believe that?
All right. What could make the Colorado Buffalo season just even more dramatic? How about adding Warren Sapp to your staff? That will do it. Warren Sapp, not even the defensive line coach or defensive coordinator. He's a defensive analyst. He's like basically almost a volunteer. Warren Sapp meeting the media yesterday. He vows that Colorado will have a better run defense.
You know, want the guys to be nice and solid because the one thing that I did see last year before I turned the TV off was we couldn't stop the run, and that won't happen with me here. No, we're going to earn our right to rush by stopping the run.
More from Sapp. He says the defensive line has depth and then compares them to a gun.
We'll be 6 deep, you know, because Shane and Big Boy, Nana Deuce, Barnes, and then we got Kadoji in there, and then working with Buell, and then one more. Who am I forgetting? TC and the other kid. Yeah, I mean, we just mixing and matching them. We got bullets. You get shot with a 38 or a 9mm, you pick it.
Hilarious. Sapp says he became addicted to coaching.
For someone that never wanted to do this, I am really addicted to it right now. The babies are really giving me a purpose in life, and I'm enjoying it.
All right, so just to add a little more star power to the Colorado Buffaloes coaching staff, Warren Sapp. Perloff, do you believe that he's going to be a good addition to this team?
Well, I mean, at this point, like, can he hurt? There's so much going on with Deion and his staff. I find if Warren Sapp didn't get in trouble, then he would be.
He wouldn't be Warren Sapp.
Well, no, I just think he's a very compelling speaker. Like, he's a big personality. When he's nice, like, he can really charm your socks off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's just one of those people who just seems to have a real dark side. So if that doesn't come out, I think he could be very effective talking to young men.
I know, but I would just ask the question, like, when does it not eventually come out?
That's a good question.
If I was going to set the over-under for a negative headline that Warren Sapp could bring to Colorado, I mean, where do you set that line? 1, 0.5? I mean, that's way too many for a defensive analyst. But he's got such a, he's so famous, Hall of Famer. So, you're right. He could probably really help and give these guys some really good tutelage. But I just don't know if I trust Warren Sapp to keep it together for a season.
No, I understand what you're saying. Also, he pointed out he's not really an experienced coach. Colorado's got to get it together and have a good game plan here because Warren's first point, man, you could run all over them last year. So it almost is like there's so much chaos around that program. It can't hurt to have Warren Sapp. Do you think this is a negative bringing him in?
I think it could end up being a negative if Warren Sapp, finds trouble, which has either found him or he's found, not just from the playing days. It's continued even post-playing days.
He's gone stretches where he has gotten in trouble at NFL Network. I don't know. You have Deion. It feels like he's such an overwhelming bright light. He takes all the hype that you can almost hide a Warren Sapp here. I know that sounds crazy. I think
he's out there doing media. It's like he's a defensive analyst. He's not even the defensive coordinator, and he's doing interviews.
But at the end of the day, who are we going to be talking about? Ultimately, Prime.
That's true. It's definitely true. This to me, again, this is Deion though. The temperature's always turned up, right? It's not, okay, year 2, what did we learn from year 1? It's did we learn from year 1? We need more celebrities. Is that the takeaway? We need bigger personalities, more, I don't say dicey, but more unknowns. What is Warren Sapp around a college program? You have no idea, and you're bringing that in to, a already pressure-packed year.
Yeah, I'm more of the, what can it hurt at this point? Honestly, can their defense get worse?
No, the defense probably can't get worse, but there's lots of talented coaches who could probably help these guys get better. Plus the transfer portal. I mean, that's where you really get better.
No, see, I kind of disagree with that. If you're bringing in a Hall of Famer as an analyst, that's not a bad situation.
It's not, but again,
if he was in trouble, I understand.
Could you also see a time when it's not so hard? And again, Warren Sapp has treated me personally very nicely, but you have to just go off the public record here. Is it so hard to imagine at some point this season Warren Sapp is standing up in front of these same reporters apologizing for something?
Absolutely.
I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have tweeted this. I shouldn't have been in that situation at that time. Because, the college environment, someone could say something, it could set him off. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
he hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt is what I'm saying.
Let's talk about Michael Irvin for a second. He's got in trouble throughout his playing career and his post-playing career. But don't you think he has something to say to young wide receivers? I mean, if I had a young wide receiver, I've heard Michael Irvin talk to current athletes. He's unbelievable. Yeah. So there is something there.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you're right. Eventually it burns out. But, maybe second chances. I just think that Warren Sapp, you got to throw something at this defense to get them a little tougher. It can't hurt.
855-212-4227. Quickly, our question, a great debate today, is the biggest Olympic scandals of all time. Eric is in Indy as one we have not mentioned yet. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, guys. Hey, I became a big fan of Marion Jones, but I think we forgot about her. Yep. That was a big one. She went to jail and everything. That was a huge one. That was the whole beginning of that Clear thing, that whole designer steroid they had going there. But that was pretty polarizing. And then she came out and had to, publicly, well, she didn't really admit it, but that she unwillingly knew that she was taking the Clear. So
yeah,
that was pretty interesting.
Eric, you're so right. It was a huge scandal. Thank you for bringing it up. If you guys remember Balco, remember that? Balco, the Bay Area Lab Corporation, whatever, where Barry Bonds was also connected to him. Jones admitted to lying to federal agents under oath about her steroid use prior to the 2000 games in Sydney. Huge scandal.
Yeah, what happened to Marion Jones? I feel like she disappeared.
Yeah, she did because she went to jail.
For how long?
Not exactly sure, but making false statements to federal agents. She also had a check fraud scam that also played in here, We're asking the biggest Olympic scandals of all time. It's our great debate for today. Coming up next, IanOConnor is the author of a new book about Aaron Rodgers. We'll dive deep on that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He's a man of many tastes, but he's got a debt, and it's not going to waste. Andrew Bogusch is waiting, he's been oh so kind for that well-seasoned steak. It's been on his mind. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well-seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. Andrew Bogusch's been patient, but he's starting to drool, thinking about that steak. Oh, it's making him cool. Peter Bellotti, don't delay. It's time to make amends. Cook up that steak, and they'll be the best of friends. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well, seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. A dash of salt, a pinch of pepper, garlic and herbs, oh it couldn't get better. Sizzle on the grill, make it medium rare. Peter Bellotti, show Andrew you care. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well, seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. So let's end this saga with a juicy bite. Andrew Bogusch and Peter Bellotti, friends under the night. With a steak well cooked, this story's complete. Peter Bellotti, your debt is now sweet. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew bake that steak. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak.
I'm Andrew Perloff.
A dash of salt.
Okay. Here we go.
It's time to bake that steak. So let's end this saga with a juice. In Peter Bellotti's world, it's always a Tom Hanks scene. From Big to Castaway, he's the fan club dean. In his living room, it's a movie marathon with Tom on the screen from dusk till dawn. Oh, Peter Bellotti loves Tom Hanks. It's a serious thing. From Forrest Gump to Sully, he makes his heart sing. Quotes every line, knows every part. Tom Hanks isn't just an actor, he's a piece of his heart. Whether it's Woody or Captain Phillips at the helm, Peter Bellotti's collection's overwhelming.
30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We often call him the most interesting man in football, maybe the most interesting person in sports, and that's Aaron Rodgers. New book about him really deep dives Perloff in a way that we haven't seen into the history of Rodgers, the history of his family, many, if not all, of the controversies surrounding Aaron Rodgers and just how his public image has kind of gone up, It's gone down, it's gone back up again. No one does it better than IanOConnor. He is an award-winning author and reporter who has written books about Coach K and about Belichick, Derek Jeter, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and now turns his attention to Aaron Rodgers with a new book called Out of the Darkness. We've gotten a chance to read it. Ian, thanks so much for the time today. How you doing?
How are you, Maggie and Andrew?
We're doing great, and congratulations on the book. I remember talking to you last year when you were starting this journey, and now we get to see it. There's so many places we can go, but let's start with, I think, one thing everyone wants to know about Rodgers. It is public how he has been estranged from his family for now so much of his life. You interviewed everyone around this and talked to so many people in his life. Do you feel like you got the definitive reason why Rodgers and his family no longer speak?
Actually isn't a singular reason. I know everyone looks for that, and I look for that too. And there are family members who still don't know why. It's been nearly 10 years since Aaron Rodgers has spoken to them. It's hard to believe it's gone on that long, but there are really 15, 16, 17 different things. And a lot of the reasons seem from the outside looking in to be pretty minor and petty. And it seems clear that this estrangement should have ended 5, 6, or 7 years ago. And particularly a number of family members blame Olivia Munn, who he started dating in 2014. The estrangement starts in December of 2014, but he hasn't dated her in 7 years. So it's certainly not all her fault. I think what happened there was Aaron into that relationship brought some feelings about his family that family members disagree with, but feeling that maybe his generosity wasn't fully appreciated by them, or that the family unit revolved too much around his success. And she notarized those feelings. And so she did have a role in it in that context. But this was his decision. He has cut other people out of his life. And basically, if Aaron Rodgers, if he feels you've slighted him in any way, there's a chance he'll never talk to you again. And he did that with some friends. His best friend, Jordan Russell, was out of his life for 3 or 4 years. Aaron actually brought him back in. He's one of the few to escape what I call the island in the book, which is a place that Aaron will send people when he no longer wants to deal with you. And unfortunately, that includes some of his family members.
Ian, you started the book by talking about you went out and visited with Aaron in California to sort of fact check some parts of the book. How sensitive was he about the family issues? Did you, body language and everything else, was he sort of leaning in when talking about his family?
Yeah, I really appreciated Andrew about Aaron and sitting with him. Was he understood that as a biographer, I had no choice but to write about this. I didn't want to write about his family issues, and a lot of people have family issues, and it's not fun to talk about or to really even look into. And he understood that. I said, I just don't know how I could do this project without writing about this. And he got it. And I don't think a lot of superstar athletes would have, to be honest with you. They would have, many athletes, I think, would have said, why not just write about my career? Why do you have to write about my family? But he didn't say that. And he countered some things. He offered context for other things. He disputed some things. And some things he just would not discuss for public consumption that he says is really a part of this that people don't know and don't understand. So at one point I said, listen, I'm going to criticize your brothers for some things they did, but I need to criticize you for at least one thing you didn't do, which was attend a wedding. You were part of a wedding party with your college roommate and teammate. And at the last second, you told the guy you're not going to attend his wedding and not be in his party because he invited your family. to me, you have to rise above your family issues. It's his day, not yours. And he said, I understand you have a right to your opinion. I respect your opinion, but it's wrong. And you're uneducated to the complexity of the situation. And I said, okay, but I'm still going to criticize you for that decision. And I thought it was fair to spread the blame a little bit. And that's what I did.
IanO'Connor's joining us, the new book about Aaron Rodgers, the biography, Out of the Darkness. And, you know, there's a story in the book about Rodgers' father getting a ticket to the famous Lake Tahoe celebrity golf tournament that Rodgers plays in. And he kind of follows Rodgers. And at one point they do see each other. They embrace. And Rodgers says, I love you. It kind of feels like, Ian, there could be a path to reconciliation. But what do you think the biggest hurdle in the way of that path would be?
Aaron just figuring this out, because I think the estrangement is now a living organism. He doesn't know how to kill it off. And it's almost easier, instead of confronting it and dealing with it, to just let it linger. And so that hug hopefully it'll be the first baby step in the reconciliation. And it was a 30-second moment, but it meant a lot to Aaron and to his father. And when he was in college, he said, listen, I grew up really idolizing Joe Montana and Steve Young in Northern California. But really, my father was my hero and my idol. I want to be my dad. So that's where the reconciliation will start, if it happens at all. I think it will, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then once father and son reconcile, I think organically the rest of the family unit will fall into place. That's my hope anyway. And in some strange way, I was thinking that maybe this book would help that process. I don't know if it possibly can, but I'd like to see that happen.
Ian, Aaron Rodgers has done some press this week, and he has talked about the book. I don't know. I assume you haven't heard from him, but what has been your reaction to what he has said about the book so far this week?
Haven't heard from him, and he said he hadn't read it yet. I did hand it to him, I think on August 2nd. He got the first copy. That's always how I do it. I want the subject to get the first copy. And so I did get it to him. So he said he hadn't read it. And he was definitely going to read the first chapter on his grandfather's heroic World War II combat service. And I had many details on that in the book. And then after that, we'll see. So I appreciate the fact that he commended me for the amount of research I did. He understood when I arrived at his home in Malibu in February that I was deadly serious about getting his entire life story right. With the amount of interviews I did, I think I surprised him with some detail of his youth, that things he forgot that I knew about, and details particularly of his grandfather's service that really interested him. I told him that I don't want you to read about details that are disturbing as far as your grandfather being a POW in World War II, and he was abused at times, mistreated, he was beaten. I want to send you the war crimes interview that he gave. And I sent it to him in the mail because I didn't feel like he should read that about his grandfather in a book without just knowing about it, if I could get him the information. And I think he did appreciate that.
IanO'Connor's joining us. The new book is called Out of the Darkness, yet reading about his grandfather on death marches, on these being mistreated by the Nazis, it's really amazing. I mean, you followed his family all the way back to Aaron Rodgers' ancestors were on the Mayflower. I mean, this was some really exhaustive research, but we would expect nothing less from you, Ian, with the type of books that you do. I just want to play for you quickly. This is a segment that Perloff and I started doing a couple years ago, and this is the open. This is what it sounds like.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Okay. You're probably not surprised here that we play that a lot, and it's really run the gamut of a lot of different things that he's been up to today. And what it really started was the ayahuasca, because what led him to go to ayahuasca, we make fun of it now, we joke around about it, it's a bit of a punchline around here. It's an extremely powerful psychedelic drug that he is an open proponent of. How did that come to be?
Call it a drug, Maggie, to him. He hates that label when it comes to
plant-based
ayahuasca.
medicine. Plant-based
That's
medicine.
right, yeah. So Jordan Russell, who was one of his friends exiled and sent to Aaron's Island for a few years and then brought back into his life in 2019, Jordan Russell went to Peru and he went through the ayahuasca experience and then comes back and tells Aaron about it, says, you got to do this. So Aaron then goes with Danica Patrick to Peru, sits for some ceremonies, and comes away thinking that there are lucid dreams with embedded messages. That's the way it was described to me. Obviously, I've never done it. And he said he felt like it was a spiritual cleansing, made him a better person and a better football player, and also helped with interpersonal relationships. For some reason, that didn't transfer to his family. I don't know why. But actually, that first trip to Peru, the COVID virus was actually approaching, and he needed to get out of the country before they closed the borders pretty quickly, and that happened. But yeah, so according to Aaron, anyway, it's made a big difference in his personal and football life. And so the one thing I don't understand is when he talks about relating better to people, I don't know why ayahuasca hasn't helped him with the estrangement, but that's where we are right now.
Is Aaron Rodgers a different person now at 40 than he was at 25?
Listen, just in the public arena, Andrew, when you look at his life totally changed a few years ago in that press conference in August of 21 when he said, yeah, I've been immunized, when asked about his vaccination status. And before that, he was looked at as a socially aware athlete, one of the good guys in the NFL. He supported Colin Kaepernick and the right of athletes to kneel during the anthem and protesting inequities in society. One fan yelled out an anti-Muslim slur during a national anthem. He rebuked that fan, and President Obama thanked him for that. And a thoughtful response to Drew Brees' stance on the protests. And so all of a sudden, those four words, yeah, I've been immunized. And then later, of course, we find out he was not vaccinated. That turned him into a villain. So certainly in a public arena context, he's completely changed. Now the conspiracy theories on top of the vaccine thing, on top of the Jimmy Kimmel thing. And I think there's a good person there. He's done some reckless things and he's said some reckless words on the air that have gotten him in trouble. The good things he does behind the scenes for people, for kids, sick kids, there are a lot of them. And his marketing agent at CAA, Ed Berry, Saquon Barkley's agent, says he's frustrated because he wants to do publicity around those things and Aaron won't let him. So all you get in the media is negativity. And typical Jets, they got all the downside of employing Aaron Rodgers and none of the upside, at least hopefully until this season, that changes.
IanO'Connor's joining us. His new book is called Out of the Darkness. It's a deep dive. It's a biography on Aaron Rodgers, and it's really fascinating. Does Rodgers take, though, any responsibility for these things you're talking about? Like, I know he said he regrets using the word immunized. He should have just been more forthright about his situation. The Jimmy Kimmel stuff, the stuff he says on McAfee, the conspiracy theory stuff, all this is totally within his realm and right. Like, he is the most media savvy athlete we have, maybe outside of LeBron James. If he wanted to turn the temperature down on this stuff, Ian, he absolutely could. And instead he does the opposite. He keeps fanning the flames and then is like surprised when he gets backlash for it.
I don't know how surprised he is. I will say, Maggie, that he's fearless in stating his public positions. And I think that is generally speaking, a commendable trait. Not many people are. He doesn't back down. But a lot of these wounds have been self-inflicted. And I think the all-time greats that I've covered generally have a hard time saying, I'm sorry about anything. When's the last time you've ever heard Aaron Rodgers say, I'm sorry? And just getting him to admit he made a mistake and saying, I've been immunized. I was actually shocked that he admitted if he had a mulligan, he would do it in an entirely different way, because it just seems to me that the greats that I've covered in different sports, if they admit a weakness or a fault, that they're afraid that they're going to carry that into the arena and it will compromise the mission of winning. And I've seen that with a lot of great coaches and players I've covered, and I think he falls into line with that group.
Ian, what's next for Aaron Rodgers after football? He said on our sister show over there, Boomer and Gio, doesn't want to follow Tom Brady's steps into the broadcasting booth. Do you think he's going to be in football and politics? What is he going to do after he's done?
Politics, I don't think so. And I think the RFK Jr. thing was almost a joke. I thought that was a publicity stunt that was planted, that idea by the Kennedy people. They got more publicity out of that than anything else with his campaign, basically. And actually, had that not happened, I don't think you would have seen the CNN Sandy Hook story ever printed. So that really hurt Aaron, actually. But I don't see him in politics. He was never going to leave football and run with Kennedy because he was choosing then unemployment over employment. They were going to lose, so that was not going to happen. But he would be a tremendous analyst. I think he might change his mind on that. I think the networks will be after him. I think he might be better than Brady at it. When he's talking football, he is off the charts, entertaining and brilliant. And I think he might be the best ever to do it. And I've always thought, even though I disagree with a lot of things he has said and done, that he is probably the most engaging, thoughtful interview in the NFL. So I do think he'll become a color analyst, and he'll be extraordinarily good at it.
Ian, last question for me. We've talked a lot about Rodgers' personal life. A football question for you. What does he have a football regret? I mean, if there is something about his actual football career that he would like to do over, is there anything there?
To win more in the postseason. He's 11-10, and now he didn't have Belichick as his head coach. He didn't have Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator. So I do think Brady had a big advantage in the support system around him. But yeah, there are opportunities. Listen, the 2014 NFC Championship game at Seattle is everyone's biggest regret associated with the Packers. They're in the Super Bowl if they recover an onside kick, and they play the Patriots, who they beat that year in the regular season. And Aaron gets his second Super Bowl opportunity anyway to win a second ring. And I think just the way those final 5 minutes unfolded, where 7 or 8 different things went wrong, I think not that he had a big role in the collapse, but the fact that he was the face of it, even though he didn't have a big role in it, I think that's a Sunday he would like to relive if he had to pick one day to do over again, at least in a postseason context.
All right, Ian. Aaron Rodgers, pretty compelling guy. You told us, I think it was a year and a half ago, that you were doing the book on him. Do you have the next one lined up? Because it's going to be tough to top Rodgers. I could not put this thing down.
Well, thank you. Thanks. I'm trying to get something over the goal line right now, and it's not there yet. It's a basketball book. And so at some point, I want to get back to LeBron James. And I do want to do a book on Tiger Woods at some point in my life. I covered the vast majority of his career. And there have been other Tiger books and some really good ones. But I think there's one inside of me that I'd like to do at some point. So that's what's in my mind right now.
I mean, LeBron James and then Tiger Woods, you got some fun things on the runway there. IanOConnor, again, the book is called Out of the Darkness. He's an award-winning author. He's written books about Belichick and Coach K and Derek Jeter, and this is great. I mean, you think you know everything about these super famous guys, and you don't, and it's a lot of intel, especially on his family, if you're interested in that stuff. Ian, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Maggie and Andrew. Take care.
And congratulations. The one other part I had forgotten about a little bit with Rodgers, there were like some questions about his sexuality that came up, and he, basically just dispelled that in a radio interview. He said, no, I do like women. And it was weird how those rumors even started. Not that it's any of our business, but how those rumors even started, because he wasn't bragging about his conquests, and about women. And he cleared that up, and then I had forgotten about that story. That whole thing.
Well, I mean, listen. Oh, God. He is 40 and unmarried, so it's like that's pretty rare for a quarterback, to be totally honest. Like, it's weird. He was engaged. I had no idea he was had a very serious fiance named Destiny.
From back home.
Yeah, what was that about? Did you know about that?
I didn't know about that, but a woman that, maybe was like the it girl for him, like in high school or something, or from his hometown. There's always the one. And then he got a chance to date her seriously. And once, he became quarterback and got famous, obviously, and they were engaged, apparently. The parents wanted him to marry her.
It's so funny because he's a very monogamous girlfriend to girlfriend guy. The fact that he hasn't gotten married is interesting to me, because he was very, very serious with Olivia Munn. That came through in the book. And Danica.
Yeah.
And also,
Woodley.
Was there the Shailene Woodley, the owner's daughter of the Bucks?
Mallory
Edens,
but they might still be dating.
Yeah,
I think they are. But anyway, it's like he's got these very high profile relationships.
Yes,
I'd forgotten about that story.
It's funny. Name another quarterback who hasn't been married. Not that, of course, that means nothing. But it's just funny that he's out there bachelor life, and somebody said like, "Oh, he's got too much time on his hands because he's not married and doesn't have kids yet." That's why he has time to research all these. Too much time on the internet.
Never a good thing. The book is great, though. It really is. Out of the Darkness, and Ian has been cool and come on the show many, many times before. Fun. 855-212-4227. There's also, we are fascinated about Rodgers and his private life, because you and I were talking about this. I know we got to go to break, but, Kobe Bryant also had a very difficult relationship with his family.
Oh, yeah.
May he rest in peace. And now we know Jelly Bean Bryant has passed away, too. He had a very challenging relationship. I don't remember it ever being this public, though. And Rodgers, his family, his brother going on The Bachelor and putting their business out there even more, that obviously gave this a lot of life. But I didn't remember us being nearly as consumed with Kobe's strained relationship with his family as we are with Rodgers.
Yeah, totally true. But you knew about it.
We did know it, but
I don't even remember how he knew about it, but that was a thing.
I think it was because his family, this is the Kobe situation, his family was maybe selling some of his memorabilia, and he got upset by that.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, like, Kobe's dad at least was somewhat famous.
Yeah, right.
Totally different situation. Yeah, it's weird. I read the book in the opening chapter. Ian referenced it. He says, "I love you" to his dad at this golf tournament. I'm like, he loves him. Like, just give the guy a call. What's going on here?
It is a lot going on.
Yeah, Ian describes it as just getting awkward at this point, and Aaron Rodgers can't figure out how to get out of this situation. But I that's hopeful. At least it's so weird. I don't know these people at all, but I kind of want them to have this nice reunion.
I know. Maybe they're closer to it. Again, family stuff is always tough. 855-212-4227. Whether you're famous or not famous. Okay, coming up, someone's out here telling lies, and we're calling them out. We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Tom Hanks scene from Big to Castaway. He's the fan club dean in his living room. It's a movie marathon with Tom on the screen from dusk till dawn. Oh, Peter Bolaños, Tom Hanks, it's a...
I got a blue filter, thought it changed my life. Spent some good money, cut the water strife. But now I'm sitting here with my glass in hand, wondering if it's just a scam. Oh man, Brita filters don't do a thing, just another product with a fancy ring. Pour the water in, let it do its dance, but my tap tastes the same, don't stand a chance. Perloff, Maggie Gray, hear my plea. Brit is just a trick, can't you see? Every drop that flows through, it's all the same. Brita's got our wallets, but it's all a game. Brita filters don't do a thing, just another product with a fancy ring. Pour the water in, let it do its dance, but my tap tastes the same, don't stand a chance. Andrew Perloff, Maggie Gray, hear my plea. Brita's just a trick, can't you see? Every drop that flows through, it's all the same. Brita's got our wallets, but it's all a game. Brita filters don't do a thing, just another product with a fancy ring. Pour the...
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. That was a great interview with IanOConnor, who wrote the Aaron Rodgers bio, Out of the Darkness. By the way, I mean, I think it's a big win that Aaron Rodgers does not hate this guy after writing what was really an unauthorized biography. The fact that Aaron Rodgers praised him, I mean, you couldn't help it. I read the book, the detail that Ian found on him, I think blew Rodgers away. So, and the other thing, Ian said that Aaron Rodgers has not read the book yet. I'm a little dubious about that.
I think he's probably read the chapter about his grandfather, I would imagine. Wouldn't you be so interested? He didn't know any of this stuff, that his grandfather was a World War II like fighter pilot hero who got captured in a POW camp. You want to know that stuff, right?
Well, I'm just saying Aaron Rodgers didn't read it. I don't know. It feels like, yeah, I'm sure he didn't read it. Whatever. Yeah.
They got like one of those petty people we have.
I just think that Aaron Rodgers feels very detail oriented. I feel like, but just the fact that he didn't, because I've seen him shred guys before, and he seems pretty complimentary of IanOConnor. Seems like Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's the world's most moody athlete. It seems like he's on a good mood streak right now.
Yeah, something is the good vibes are rolling. I mean, I even went to Jets camp, and I told you, I felt like it was all extremely positive, and this was with a left tackle situation that is a little dicey. Center quarterback exchanges were all over the road and all over the map. You still have a holdout with Hassan Reddick. There's a lot of things that could lead to some, angst, but there was none of that.
Well, I mean, the same thing happened last year, though. Last year was a summer of love for Aaron Rodgers on Broadway and all these things. There was nothing but positive news. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous because last year I felt so good about them. And honestly, I feel good about them now. I feel like how would that team with that defense not going to make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers? Logic says they will, but there's that. I mean, you were at Jets camp. Is there still like a Jetsian vibe in the air?
No, that's why I was wondering, like, was their practice facility like built on an Indian burial ground or something? Because it's beautiful. It's state of the art. They have the weapons, the tools. Like Garrett Wilson's so good. Breece Hall, so good. I mean, there's so much. Sauce Gardner wasn't even practicing that day because he had a family issue that he got excused for. He was at practice, though, but not participating. I mean, and yet you look around, it's this gorgeous place, this gorgeous facility. I know people don't think of New Jersey as being gorgeous, but this area part of it is. And yet they always find the banana peel. It's self-inflicted and sometimes not. So,
tell me right now, should I avoid picking them to go to the playoffs? I'm almost certain I am. I'm gonna have your Bills and the Jets out of the AFC East and leave the Dolphins to the side. Makes me nervous, though.
I think people are picking them for the Super Bowl. I do.
Well,
I've seen a lot of Jets Packers.
Oh my God!
You guys seen this one?
NFL experts,
yes.
Really?
Yes.
I don't buy that.
And this would be like the year of Rodgers.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
That would be pretty juicy, though.
No way. You're telling me people are going to put their reputation on the line to have the Jets in the Super Bowl after last year, after everybody got burned by them?
Yes.
I bet
their
running
reputation.
to it.
I just say,
to it.
I'm telling you, national writers are not going to put the Jets in the Super Bowl.
He's a
I'm
bum.
telling you that right now. The Peter Schrager's of the world will not have the Jets in the Super Bowl.
Peter Schrager's nailed it how many years in a row now?
5 in a
I think he's a
row.
bum.
You are sitting next to somebody who might put the Jets in the Super Bowl, and I'm talking about EJ. No, I'm just kidding. EJ's at
He's
home.
not next to me.
He's on the Zoom.
He's not next to me, Maggie.
But you will be
Lita
because
is.
you're healing at an all-time rate.
I don't know
You're
how-
going to be
how-
back soon enough.
How did the Jets make the Super Bowl when 87% of national experts are putting the Texans and the Lions head to head in this match? The CJ, I mean, how can he be there with CJ Stroud? It works. There's only one team from the AFC, and I've seen so much Texans love. It's insane.
Andrew Bogish is here with headlines for us. What's up, Bogues?
Guys, you're going to play Do You Believe It later this morning.
Next.
Phillies fans do it basically every telecast because of John Kruk and the things he says. The former player is now their lead analyst, and he likes to share his bizarre thoughts and experiences whenever the game allows or doesn't. Crook's cult following has caught the attention of John Oliver, and last week tonight, they played a Crook montage on their last episode.
You know, I was thinking about this today, now that we have some time. Yeah. Like, why aren't we born with hair on our chest as men?
I don't know that.
Why does it wait till like you're, 16, 17, 18, 20, whatever?
Yeah.
And then it starts growing. Like, where are those follicles dormant?
While you ponder that and or pray for his partner, Tom McCarthy, there's even more from Crookie.
There's not a lot of shows I watch with the kids. We banned them from one.
I'm not even going to ask which one it is.
Well, I can tell you.
All right.
Caillou.
Oh, okay.
All that kid did was complain. We used to do stuff for the ESPN down at Disney, like Animal Kingdom. They put us up. So the first day I open up the shade. There's a dang giraffe looking in my window. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Did you feed it anything?
I did not. I was scared of it.
So all of this has gotten back to Kruk, and here's his response.
Oh, now we got it right.
Someone told me about it. I haven't seen it. I don't watch TV shows other than wrestling, and so I don't know what goes on in the TV world besides watching Phillies games and wrestling, so I'm pretty clueless to what everything else that goes on around me.
Is he Pete?
Man, how on brand is that? Of course, John Kruk only watches baseball and wrestling.
Were you calling him, Bogus, were you calling him John Kruk there as a shot? Because I know you know the Phillies really well.
No, I prefer the Old English pronunciation of his last name.
You usually nail baseball, but John Kruk, it's John Kruk.
Whatever.
Don't just
I also
respect
say
Krucky.
tournament, which bothers people. So.
Oh, yeah, I mispronounce everything.
I
But,
was wondering when you were going to say his name correctly, and I'm glad you got it on the third try.
Guys, forest through the trees. This was like the funny thing that he's saying. We're all hung up on how Bogus said his last name.
I couldn't get past it.
You're losing the plot.
No, you lost me with John Kruk. That's ridiculous. You're an NLE. Oh, no, you're not. Are you a Mets fan? No, you're a Yankee.
It's like, you know what? Leave me alone. Drive to San Antonio. Don't come back.
I'd be offended by that too.
Okay.
No, I'd be offended by Perloff not knowing he's a Met.
Thank
you.
You know.
Speaking of the
I can't
actual
remember.
content now, I think John Kruk saw Bill Walton pass away, and he goes, I'm going to take on Bill Walton's personality.
Oh, we saw Lane.
Yeah, but Krucky
was
as a
great.
player was like, he was the guy. He was like, remember when he bailed out on Randy Johnson? Remember he just walked off his career when he wanted to end the 300? He was always funny and weird.
No, and I know, John Kruk's been that way forever. I'll never forget watching him when he worked at ESPN and they had him try to hit fastballs off Jenny Finch, and he's just getting blown away and saying like the most hilarious thing. So I know he's always had that personality, but now it feels like he's really leaning into it.
You could be right.
The out of left field thoughts.
Could be right.
It's working for him.
That's what baseball announcers should be. Maggie, you talked yesterday about, was it Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez? What were they
Ron
talking?
Darling.
Yeah.
They read the media guide
Yeah,
when it's
yeah,
a blowout, and I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, you got to be really funny and weird as a baseball announcer because baseball games, even the sped up baseball games, there's a lot of dead time.
Well, that's why Bob Uecker is a treasure. You know, people like him
Oh,
or Vince
absolutely.
Scully with his storytelling, and there's some guys who just stand head and shoulders above the others.
Craig Carton.
What'd you call Lock?
One of our world's greatest announcers.
What did you call?
He did a good job. Actually.
Call Lochte a mimbo?
Yes.
I think that works too. Like Keith Hernandez is a little bit of a airhead. Like you have to be random and have like Kruk is not just manufacturing a chest hair commentary. Like that thought crossed his mind.
And he's never heard of puberty.
Right. Well, the other body parts that don't have hair on it when you're born.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he didn't mention them.
I will admit, I do not like the Mets, but I think Keith Hernandez is hysterical, much like...
Right, because he's a wacko.
Yeah, because these guys are they play first base, they go out and rake. That's all they were born to do. The rest is just random.
Wait, have you guys, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers' biography, and IanOConnor just joined us to talk about the complexities of Rodgers' family life and all the ups and downs and the ayahuasca and the conspiracy theories. Have you guys ever even sampled Keith Hernandez's biography?
No.
It's an autobiography, actually. It's not even, I can't even imagine what the unauthorized thing would turn up.
Why? What about it? Like women, drugs, what kind of stuff?
Yeah. And way more
All of the
than
above.
that. All of the above. VD.
What year did it come out? I don't remember
stories
this.
about Mexico with
What's VD?
Oh,
horses, these sex shows. I'm like, I can't believe you put this in the book. You definitely know what VD is, Pat.
Hey.
Yeah.
Kidding.
You might currently have it. Have one of them.
That's
We're just
that's
joking
uncalled
around with
for.
you.
Wait. So he put a
I'm
story
clean.
about a sex show in Tijuana with a...
And that's just one of the
That's
That was in the
fairly-
prologue.
By the way, that's gonna sound weird, but that's pretty mainstream. Like a lot of high school Americans go down to Tijuana and see the
I'm a
thing.
great time.
I was
Thanks,
I
Pete.
was scarred by reading his autobiography.
Oh,
I was. Things stayed with me out of that. I was like, oh my God. I wasn't ready.
I can imagine what he wrote.
I have a copy. I'll lend it to you. Keith signed it, actually. He signed it. Yeah.
It's all true, Maggie.
And I saw Gary Cohen later, and he had heard the interview that we did with him, and he's like, you have to understand something about Keith. He thinks everything he's ever done is noteworthy. And I was like, yes, and it's all in the book. Too many things in that book.
P.S. The Phillies lost to the Marlins last night, 5-0. They've dropped their last 5 home games. Oakland.
How'd the Mets do?
I'm actually going to get there, tough guy. Oakland catcher Shea Langoliers had his second consecutive 4-hit game last night. His A's sent the Mets to their 4th loss in a row, 9-4 in Queens.
Who was pumping 101 miles an hour for
Langoliers
four
drove
innings?
the actual good baseball playing Boyle.
That's my cousin.
Oh, wow.
No, it's not.
Since cousin Tim Boyle couldn't hold up his end of the bargain, we disassociated ourselves from him, and we have embraced Joe Boyle.
You're now estranged from him, like Rodgers and his parents?
Yes.
Langoliers drove in 4, finished a triple shy of the cycle. His team, I believe this is true, a la Boyle, has the best record in the AL since July 1st at 21-13. And the Texas Longhorns have lost another running back to a season-ending injury. This time it's freshman Chris Clark tearing his Achilles the week after C.J. Baxter tore his ACL. Texas down to 3 scholarship running backs. One of them is returning Jaden Blue, and then there's freshman Jarrett Gibson, who is the number 2 running back in his class. Guys, back to you.
Man, that's just unlucky. All right, coming up, we will point out who is lying and who is telling the truth. It's a little something called Do You Believe It? We'll do it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right. Let's play a little game that we like to do around here. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's called Do You Believe It? This will be NFL and basketball edition. Perloff, the first Do You Believe It comes from Charles Barkley. You may have heard of him. Told the Dan Le Batard show that he turned down $100 million to stay at TNT.
A minimum of $100 million? Jeez. A minimum.
Do you believe that Charles Barkley turned down a minimum of $100 million to show loyalty to TNT?
Absolutely not. It's based on common sense. $100 million. So it must have been like Amazon or some streaming service. Come on, dude. $100 million? It feels like Charles is using hyperbole.
I also can't believe this, but here's how he would get there if this were to be true. He could do Amazon and do a deal with them and NBC, who are both now going to have some basketball games and have part of the NBA package. So maybe the two of them combined, do you get to $100 million? It just feels so super rich. $100 million minimum? I know Barkley's like the maybe biggest voice we have in broadcasting, but even this felt heavy. You and I are going to agree on this one. Pat, you disagree.
Tom Brady made 300, got a 10-year, $375. So it's probably some massively long deal that maybe it got up to that difference, but it can't be. Like, TNT couldn't give him $5 million a year, and Amazon saying $45, and then he'd go with TNT. No human being can do that. I know he loves TNT.
Yeah.
You can't turn down $40 million a year.
Yeah, I also don't believe he would have turned that down. Pat, you've got another view?
Yeah, I mean, his contract at TNT, at least what I've seen reported on, is 10 years, $210 million. So I guess it could be in the realm of possibilities that he got offered $300 million by NBC and Amazon. I believe it.
Yeah, so it's some long. Yeah, but if you're talking about 10 years, is that really that significant a difference?
That's $100 million. Any way you slice it.
It's over 10 years, though.
His family's probably like, what are you doing?
It's an extra $10 million a year.
Yeah, I think you'd notice it. Yeah, you definitely would.
But it's a lot different than $100 million. He's putting that number out there. Like, it could be 12, 13 years. I mean, listen, how old is Charles Barkley? He is 61. Yeah, I don't know. That's not that big a deal.
What?
By the way, that's a big deal with TNT. I didn't realize he was making that much.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, the article that I Googled, the LA Times, has his contract for TNT is 10 years, $210 million.
All right. He'll survive on that.
Yeah, but they have no games
You
now.
don't think an extra $100 million is a big deal?
Over 10 years? No.
I don't care how many years.
It's a big deal. This is why Perloff is not Shohei's
That's
agent.
like, you're like the guy, Pat, who when you saw Patrick Mahomes' contract was like 13 years, $450 million, like, oh my God. And it turned out to be like the cheapest quarterback contract out there.
I didn't freak out about his contract. I mean,
Just, if you spread out the money long enough, then it's less of a big deal.
But it's still, no matter what, unless you get fired or or die, you're getting an extra $100 million by the end of said term. An extra $100 million that you did not have.
All right, well, so does that mean that $700 million that Shohei got that is deferred all that time?
That's deferred. You're getting the loot. You're
just spreading out over time. And taxes, don't even get me started.
Taxes are not I mean, when what? So I guess does Chuck live in Georgia, right? That's where the TNT studios. I don't think
or Arizona.
Yeah, I don't think the income tax in either of those states are particularly large. Unless he's living in New York or California, he's taking home a decent chunk of that change.
It's a lot of money that could be used at the blackjack table.
But he won't be. Where would he be for Amazon or NBC? He'd be in New York.
But I guess, does that come down to, do you get taxed in the state you work in, or you get taxed in where you live?
Where you work in. Trust me, I know this from experience.
Riveting conversation across the country, but let's not let Manny's comment of Krispy Kremes. Do you know what $100 million in donuts would look like? We'd be buried.
Oh, God. Chuck, what are you doing? Could have had all the Krispy Kreme in the world. Instead, you decided to turn it down.
You eat that many donuts, you're not seeing the end of that contract. All right, let's do our next Do You Believe It? And let's go to Jerod Mayo, the head coach of the New England Patriots, who has a punishment if anyone on the Patriots starts a training camp fight, an inter-scrimmage fight with the Philadelphia Eagles.
You don't fight in a real game. When you fight in a real game, you get fined, you get kicked out. It's the same thing here. And look, my message to the players, if you get in a fight out here, if you're a starter, you're going to play the whole preseason game. If you're not a starter, you won't play at all. And so that's kind of my mindset with that.
Yeah, don't believe this at all. This is eyewash to the highest degree possible. Or, because it better be. Because think about what he's saying. If you're a starter and you start a fight against the Eagles in a joint practice, you are playing the whole preseason game, which means there is nobody on the Patriots roster worth protecting. You don't want the fourth string for the Philadelphia Eagles, some desperate person who's trying to just make the team to take out one of your best players' knees or something. Like, this would be the most irresponsible thing he could do as a head coach. This is no chance that he would actually enforce any of this. It's nonsense.
Wait, give me an update. Judon is not there, right?
So they're looking to trade him now.
He's not. I don't think is he on the field?
Well, I don't know if he'd play the preseason anyway.
Well, regardless. Yeah, but if he starts
a fight in preseason, if he starts a fight, then he's got to smoke the whole pack.
There are only two players on the Patriots worth protecting. Matthew Judon, who's the only good player on the team, and Joe Milton, who's the only good quarterback on the team.
That's not fair.
Other than those two guys, there is not a single player. Name someone you have to protect. I saw the stat yesterday at Eagles joint practice where Jacoby Brissett dropped back 8 times and got sacked 5 out of 8 times. They are terrible. Talking about a team that can afford this policy, at least you're on Mayo in year 1. Fine. Put them all out there. There's nobody to protect.
We're starting off with lies, Gerard. We're starting our relationship with you as a head coach of the New England Patriots. We're starting it with lies. Okay, final Do You Believe It? We got the news yesterday that JJ McCarthy, the rookie quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, has a torn meniscus. We're not sure how bad it is. But, Perloff, do you believe it? He will start a game this season despite the knee injury.
I got him in week 8, baby. Now, I was reading a little bit the difference, the possibilities. If it's just a shaving of the meniscus, and we're talking 2 to 4 weeks. If it's a full repair, then we're talking between 6 and 8 or something like that. I think meniscus. I saw Joel Embiid come back really fast, and nobody's in worse shape than Joel Embiid. JJ McCarthy's in great shape. He's going to be fine. If Joel could go out there and hit a couple threes, it did look good. I'm not going to lie. But I think JJ McCarthy will heal quickly. Meniscus, of the three things on your knee, the MCL, meniscus, and ACL is by far the one you want injured. And I do think Minnesota's going to have a losing record and put him in.
Don't forget the patella, EJ.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, patella. That's
Thanks
so
for that.
severe, I didn't even count it.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. You can tear it in 2 places. We all found that out. Sorry, EJ, but you're on your road to recovery. You're going to be back any moment. I don't believe this, and I don't think there is a rush here for the Vikings to get him out. This now has basically turned into one big redshirt season for everybody. I don't think Kevin O'Connell's on the hot seat anymore. I don't know if he was anyway. You draft a quarterback in the first round and you have an offensive-minded head coach. Like, that usually buys you a year or two. I think everyone gets taken off the hot seat. Everyone can take a deep breath. There's zero expectations for the Minnesota Vikings, and you just let JJ McCarthy heal and get better. And if he doesn't see the field, this is not a crime. This is not a tragedy if he doesn't see the field. He's going to recover. And if Patrick Mahomes could sit and if Lamar Jackson could sit, why can't JJ McCarthy sit?
I am smelling a show bet.
Maggie, that's interesting. You thought Kevin O'Connell could have been on the hot seat this year? Or was already?
I think maybe that was out there a little bit.
Wow. Definitely. I mean, they were bad last year. I mean, the NFL, the time frame is so quick.
They nearly made the
beat by
playoffs after Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles with Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins.
Right, but they lost in embarrassing fashion in the playoffs to the Giants. I agree with Maggie. Like, at a certain point, they got to say, what are we doing here with Kevin O'Connell? Because they don't look like a Super Bowl team in any sense.
But I think they've all bought themselves time.
Yeah.
With
Maybe.
JJ McCarthy. I mean, this is a good thing. You have Kevin O'Connell developing a young quarterback. Like, that's a good way to be. And I'm not.
And you got to still, for now, have a great defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. We'll see how long they keep him. But the problem
everything's just in a holding pattern right now for Minnesota. And again, if you're a fan, okay, is that all that exciting to think about this season? But let's play the long game here. You know,
I'm a big fan. I'm a big proponent of Sam Darnold having a big year here, and the Vikings either going 9 or 8 or 8 and 9 and having a chance to get in the playoffs in the last week. So I think O'Connell's going to do a phenomenal job.
It's possible.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's some pressure because you have Justin Jefferson, the highest paid wide receiver and probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. It's not like you're not
But he's not going anywhere.
You're not
paid
a total rebuild. You drafted Jordan Addison pretty high. Like, I think there is a little bit of pressure. I don't think you say that. Like, everyone says you give him an off year, but in the reality, the NFL losing has terrible results. Even, I mean, we're talking about Gerard Mayo in the first part of this. Gerard Mayo, yes, you would think he could go win 3 games and be fine, but you never know. In this league, losing just gets people mad.
I understand. I mean, I just think stuff happens, you know. McCarthy looked really good in that first preseason game. You start getting excited, and turns out he tore his meniscus in that game. And so now you got to recalibrate things. And I might disagree with you, Pat, about how well Sam Darnold's going to do. I mean, it's his 4th team. He's been around for a while. He's played a lot of games. So is he all of a sudden going to turn into something big? Maybe. He's never had a coach, a good offensive mind, outside of Kyle Shanahan, of course.
He's on the Geno Smith 2022 character arc.
Oh, is that right?
Get your career derailed by the Jets because it's the Jets, and then come back and reimagine yourself.
Don't forget the pit stop in Carolina.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he did pretty well the back half of his last year at Carolina.
Do you think he's going to write? Everyone wrote him off, and he's not going to write back?
He's not writing back. Actually, Sam might write back. I'll write back to the Ghosts.
Oh, the Ghosts. Do you
Are
think
we sure? So you're saying that he was in San Francisco?
Who, Darnold?
You say his 4th team. I don't count the Niners. I know he played Carson Wentz in 1 game. Like, he's sort of on his 4th team.
Listen, if he ends up doing really well in Minnesota, I bet he credits that season in San Francisco for his turnaround.
You know, the other thing, too, if you look at his numbers with the Jets, he's pretty much the 4th best quarterback in franchise history.
So he's got that going for him.
Yeah, I
Lucky
mean,
dude.
if you have more touchdowns than interceptions, you're basically Joe Namath Part 2 at this point.
Get him a fur coat. Okay, coming up, we head to the college ranks for this one. A shocking bit of news. Man, did one team avoid a disaster. Get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Can I tell you the type of disaster that the University of Michigan may have just avoided? Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. No hyperbole.
Sounds like hyperbole. What do you mean?
This could have been a disaster. Now, Michigan's already going through it right now because Jim Harbaugh got hit with the show cause penalty. They got some negative headlines going back to the recruiting scandal, how he met a couple recruits for breakfast during the pandemic, during a dead period. Shouldn't have been doing it. They have yet to fully investigate the Connor Stallion sign stealing scandal, Perloff, so there could be more penalties coming down. On top of that, Sharon Moore, the new head coach, deleted a bunch of text messages between himself and the sign stealer. So Michigan's got their hands full. You did not need to have Jim Harbaugh coming back to be the honorary captain for the season opening game against Fresno State. Harbaugh has declined the honor, and he did them all such a huge favor, specifically head coach Sharon Moore. You got all this stuff swirling around you with Stallions, who's about to be on a Netflix documentary like any day now, spilling everything that happened at Michigan.
We know what happened in Michigan. I could do the investigation. We have pictures of him in a fake mustache. What else you want, Maggie?
Well,
the damage has been done.
The fake mustache is amazing, but what was Sharon Moore, the new head coach? How much did he know? When did he know
everything? We all know that.
All right.
I'll solve the mystery for you. What do you think? He was the offensive coordinator? That he was just like, oh, I don't know.
Who needs Scooby-Doo in the gang? We got Andrew Perloff.
Yeah, when you put it like that. Anyway, there's already enough pressure on the new head coach. You're coming off a championship season. You're getting the baton handed to you under some, crazy circumstances because you've been in the news for all these scandals. All this stuff, let alone the winning of football games. You haven't named a starting quarterback yet. You've got a lot of things going on at Michigan. So you want to bring Harbaugh in?
Yes.
To be the honorary captain?
Heck yeah.
So that people can just all look at each other and say, gosh, I wish Harbaugh was still here.
No, it's a continuation of the success from last year. Sharon Moore and Harbaugh were just partners. They were like each other's biggest cheerleaders. Sharon Moore is like, I love that man.
Yeah, and
Harbaugh's like, I love that man. This is all good.
Perloff, and how quickly would the Michigan fan base turn on Sharon Moore if they somehow lose this game to Fresno State? Because you know who's week 2? Texas. Good luck with that. You're going to start, and I don't think they're going to lose to Fresno State.
Yeah, what are you talking about? What's the spread on that game?
Well, you never know, though, with a season opener. Even if it's close or something, you've got, this would be like, you want Belichick to show up to be the honorary captain for the Patriots season opener? You think Gerard Mayo would like that? He'd be cool with it? No way.
I think you have to continue the good vibes of, they're coming off a championship, unlike Bill Belichick, who was a disaster last year. I think you have to make it. If I'm Sharon Moore, I'm not presenting myself as the next guy. I'm presenting myself as a continuation of what was going on. Hey, I just beat Ohio State. Sharon Moore beat Ohio State 3 times too. So why are you going to dismiss all that and pretend like it's a new era?
Because the shadow of Harbaugh, I think, would loom large. If you're Sharon Moore, you want to continue the winning, but you also have to create your own space and be your own man. You can't just be Harbaugh's facsimile. And the same reason why I think that if Nick Saban was given this opportunity, I don't think he would take it to be the honorary captain for Alabama's opener.
But it's a new guy. It's a guy from a totally different program. It's no continuation in Alabama. It's Kellen DeBoer from Washington. So I can see Kellen DeBoer has the shadow of Nick Saban over him. Sharon Moore, even if he has success, will always be tied to Jim Harbaugh. It's totally different situation here. I can understand why, for Sharon Moore, he wants to link himself to Harbaugh, not separate himself.
Okay, but here's the thing. Jim Harbaugh got, 7 years at Michigan? If Sharon Moore has some of the early missteps or some of the, down-ish seasons that Jim Harbaugh had, he's not getting the same grace as Harbaugh. Nothing about them is going to actually be the same when it starts coming to football time and winning and losing time. And if he goes on one of those streaks where he's losing to Ohio State year after year, like Harbaugh was until they turned it around, he's not going to get the same grace as Harbaugh. So you might as well carve out your own path because you're not going to be treated the same as Jim Harbaugh. That's just a fact.
Well, no, but Harbaugh, first of all, you're saying not going to treat the same. Harbaugh was on the hot seat in a big way.
After years of losing to Urban Meyer.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, when Jim Harbaugh wasn't beating Ohio State, they wanted to get him out of town. So I'm sure the same thing could happen to Sharon Moore. But this year, I don't think they're going to kill him. Ohio State's basically an NFL team. I don't think they're going to be the number one team in the country when this game happens. I'm not sure that kind of pressure. But the other thing is Michigan still got a ton of good players.
Oh,
like,
I know.
I mean, and these are, they have they might have more high-end draft prospects this year than they had last year. So I know they don't really have a quarterback, but they could be. Why are you saying if he doesn't win, like he could be fine? Why are you assuming that something negative is going to happen here?
The reason why is because rarely do you see a handoff where one guy hands it to the next guy and it's this seamless, like they're running the 4x100 relay at the Olympics. It
feels like Bill Walsh to Seifert, basically the same team. He's going to get a 2 or 3 year burn out of the Harbaugh guys.
Do you think Alex Orji, whoever is going to be the quarterback, is going in the first round like JJ McCarthy?
Honestly, do you remember the one game where Sharon Moore was the head coach last year?
Yeah, they ran the ball 23 times in a row against Penn State.
So
How could you forget?
Who cares who's quarterback? Yes, and who's the running back? Donovan Edwards. Well, he's going to go off.
Okay.
And who are the linemen? I don't know. Future pros. Who are the defensive guys? Future first-round picks.
Do you
they have a
remember
lot of talent.
what Michigan was like after Lloyd Carr? It is not a given that this is going to be great. You had Brady Hoke and Rich Rodriguez, and they were falling off the map. They barely had above 500 seasons. I think they had one 10-win season. They were nothing. The fact that you could, it will always be Michigan. I'm not going to say it's going to be nothing. They'll always have the appeal, but they were not successful on the football field. And just to assume that Sharon Moore can continue the late success of Jim Harbaugh, I think is assuming too much. It's college football. It ebbs and flows, and Michigan knows that better than anybody.
Right, but Sharon Moore has been part of this incredible turnaround. He's built this team in almost as much as Harbaugh has.
Okay.
So it's not like he's like Rich Rod coming out of some totally different program.
Sure.
I just think that
Brady Hoke was the Michigan man, right?
I think that yeah, that's true actually. But I just generally think that Sharon Moore has helped recruit this team and build this team. So I think that there's a good reason to think there'll be a continuation. Now last year was a bit of a one-off. Like even Harbaugh wasn't winning national titles every year. He was getting the Final Four and losing
at the very end. Yeah.
Right. So I think that they're going to be a playoff team for most years because it seems like they've solved. They used to get pretty much out-recruited by Ohio State. I feel like they've solved. They are so talented now.
You're taking over not just for a very brilliant football guy, but a big personality guy, too. And let's not forget, the Big Ten looks different now. And,
Is that a good or bad thing? Like, you really scared, except for Oregon, are you scared of any of these Pac-12 teams?
Before, it used to be, we didn't even have to pay attention to the Big Ten title game because there was going to be a walkover over Iowa or something like that. It's not like that anymore. They got rid of the divisions, and now it's going to just be the top two teams. So,
don't worry, Michigan won't be in that game anyway because Ohio State's going to roll this year.
Okay, well, again, now you've got Ohio State and you've got Oregon and you've got other teams in this program who are going to be vying for one of those college football playoff at-large bids. And, a lot of them will go to the Big Ten and the SEC, but we have no idea how this committee is going to do this. And it's going to be a moving target because they're probably going to change their criteria every year because this college football playoff committee is bananas.
Well, I do think that Michigan will have a huge brand name boost, but also they have a schedule boost because you just mentioned they play 3 of the top 4 teams, so it's going to be pretty.
I think Texas week 2.
I honestly think that they could easily. I think they'll be a player at 2 losses. Michigan's in, definitely.
Okay, we'll see. Tough schedule.
Because if they lose, I'm saying that's why 2 losses. There's going to be a 2-loss team in the 12th thing. Michigan be fine.
Okay, but how many 2-loss SEC teams are getting in?
Well, none of them are going to. The losses are going to be to either Texas, Oregon, or Ohio State. Nobody in the SEC is losing to 3 of the top 4 teams in the league. So I'm just saying that schedule will give them a huge advantage. Then they beat up on a bunch of lesser teams. They could easily be 9-2 and getting in the playoffs.
See, I don't know about that because I'm looking at teams like LSU and Ole Miss this year.
Yeah, they won't play half of that. No one's playing Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. There's no schedule like that out there.
Oh, I don't know. I think, doesn't Ole Miss have a really, even though they have all these guys returning, don't they have a real juggernaut of a schedule? I'm not so sure that's 100% true. 855-212-4227. Oh, Oklahoma's playing a crazy schedule.
Well, but that's 2, 3, and 4 in the AP rankings. Like, you can't possibly have a harder.
No, it's going to be
that's
going to be difficult.
2.
But we don't know how this committee is going to do, yes, strength of schedule, that's very, very difficult, but they always favor the SEC over everything and everybody.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I feel like now the Big Ten and the SEC are the same thing in a sense. Like,
I think people still believe the SEC is the
Big
stronger
Ten
conference.
now
They got more teams into the preseason top 25 in both polls, coaches and AP. The SEC did.
Yeah, but listen, the Big Ten now has Oregon, has USC. It's right there. I understand what you're saying. They're at least a 1B. And Michigan is the brand. You said Ole Miss and LSU. Those brands aren't as big. You think if Ole Miss has the same number of losses as Michigan, Michigan's getting in. You know that.
Okay, but here's a question. Who's got the more famous coach? I know Michigan's the bigger brand.
Who's getting in?
Lane Kiffin, I think, is like a factor.
The committee knows ratings, and they are putting Michigan is a top 3 brand in the entire sport. They're huge.
I know.
We know the fight song. I get it confused with the Notre Dame fight song often, but if it's close, it's Michigan, and that gives Sherman more. And even so, he doesn't really have the quarterback this year. But if he could continue to recruit, Michigan put how many guys in the NFL this year? They're becoming a little bit like Georgia. Like, their lines are so strong, defensive and offensive. I think they're going to be fine.
855-212-4227. Is the Michigan fight song and the Notre Dame fight song that close?
Not really.
Hail to Michigan. Hail to the
They
victors.
sound similar. Michigan is much more of a slow, direct tempo.
Pat, can you give us the Notre Dame?
That's Michigan. And Notre Dame is.
Sound exactly the same to me.
Manny, you know what I'm talking about, right?
More of a slow beat with Michigan.
Can we take a break, and when we come back, we're going to do the definitive, are these two fight songs the same?
Yeah, they're really the 2 fight songs, right? They're the biggest fight songs in the
That and Rocky Top. That's the one I always
associate
the outside of Michigan, Notre Dame.
I feel like there's Michigan and everybody else. Hail is the best fight song, and Notre Dame is very famous, and Rocky Top is very famous. I don't think it's Michigan.
Is this our new great debate for next week? Greatest fight song? USC's got a pretty good one.
I like it.
Okay, when we come back, we'll do a little, do these songs sound the same? Manny will give you a second to get your stuff together there. Also, did Jim Harbaugh do the right thing by declining to be the Michigan honorary captain? I say yes. Perloff says no. And an outlook for Michigan. It's all there for you. 855-212-4227. Maggie and Perloff, don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, we're back here at Maggie and Perloff. Full disclosure, we had a long-running bit where I would screw up fight songs at Dan Patrick's show. Because
I don't think it was a bit.
Was a bit. Like, I couldn't... I'm not good with lyrics. I'm not good with tunes.
We know.
And I completely would always say, I'm a huge fan of the... what was one of my lines? I'm a huge fan of the Yellow and Maize about...
oh, my God.
about
People
Michigan.
mad at you.
And then they'd be like, sing their fight song. I'd be like... then I'd sing the Notre Dame fight song.
Okay.
But to me, I've never been able to tell the two apart in my entire life.
I think maybe this is a common thing for people, but okay, Manny, play a little bit of each back to back, please. Okay, that's obviously Notre Dame. We all know that one. Pat's about to run through a wall. Let's play Michigan. I mean, listen, they're similar because it's a school band, but I think that's where the similarities kind of stop, right? They sound very different.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not night and day different, but there's clearly Notre Dame and clearly Michigan.
Like, it's the same genre.
Yeah.
I get that, but they don't sound like the same song.
Okay.
Don Cricky just brought me into South
yes.
Bend.
You guys don't think those two songs sound alike? That's strange to me, but okay.
I think they sound like, because like Maggie said, they're from a marching band. But that's it.
Yeah,
I think they sound similar. I'll agree with Perloff here, but there are differences. They do sound similar. Like if you sped up Michigan's, I think it would sound
a
pretty
lot like
close to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But there is that distinctive like pause in the Michigan song
There are a couple
between each,
Yeah.
smashing of the whatever and Notre Dame.
Play him again. Sorry, you have to do this.
This is like the blue and white dress. That's not.
Let me replay this one.
Man, he got the interlude.
Which one is this, Perloff?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, which one's this?
Hail to Notre Dame.
No.
No.
You sang the
No,
wrong
you just
words.
said
and then
hail.
You said the wrong thing.
You really don't
And
know.
now play the other one. I mean, honestly, yeah, I know what you're saying, but like to say they're not similar is, I just am not. I guess I have no ear. They sound like the notes seem pretty. I mean, my daughter reads music. I'm gonna have her look at how many notes are different.
This is like, at least not the 76ers theme song, which Perloff butchers every time. And, butchered for Michael Rubin, the former
Yeah, he
owner
looked at me
of
like
the
I was
Sixers.
crazy. Although, yeah, we did have a pop star singing the song the other day, and we got
Who?
Casey. I sent you guys a clip. Casey Musgraves, who's amazing, sang the Sixers fight song. She's from Texas. I had no idea, and it was beautiful.
Did she get it right?
Oh, she got the whole thing right. She must have grown up a Sixers fan. I have no idea why, but my version is gonna catch on.
Where did she sing it?
It's on her Instagram live feed. I'll set it up for you guys. It's actually, you guys always make fun of me for the 76er song. You're like, this is the dumbest song ever. Turns out I'm just the worst singer ever. It's a nice little song.
You're not doing it justice. To see Fanatics billionaire Michael Rubin looking at Perloff as he's butchering the lyrics, it was something I'm so glad I had a front row seat for. Yeah, EJ.
I was gonna say I'm the worst singer probably,
You
but
are.
I saw that performance and I was like, we're not getting to that white party. It's over now. This was our chance.
I know.
Michael seemed so excited too.
He
and
was-
then you started singing and he was like, all right, guys, well, got to go. Thanks for the segment. I was like, oh, that was our chance.
So we're going to see him again on Friday. I think we should all wear white just to send a nice, it's our audition. It's like, this is what we would look like at your party.
We are the New York Knicks.
Not to be.
If that's the case, we should not be around anybody that we care about then, because I'm concerned that me around Brunson might be a bad look.
Yeah, you can't fan out.
Yeah, take me to Eli Manning, someone I wouldn't really care about.
This is a team you don't want to miss. We are New York. We are the New York Knicks.
No Eagles, no Bills, no Phillies. We all need to go to each other's favorite athletes.
Wait,
therefore we can all have normal interactions. So Michael would be like, "Oh, these guys are cool."
We're not getting near
they
any
can
of those
hang.
people.
So that we would get an invite.
Tom Brady's going to be shuffled into this thing and shuffled out without shaking our hands once.
Never know. Where are we? Michigan, Notre Dame. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Was there anything else we needed to do there?
You're asking me?
Okay, let's go.
In the world of Dan Campbell and Mike Tomlin and Jim Harbaugh, there are less verbose and creative head coaches like Dennis Allen.
I'm going to leave the metaphors to you guys.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, but what is a metaphor?
What's that?
What is a metaphor? What's the official definition of metaphor?
A metaphor is like using something as comparison as like an example, right?
Okay. All right. I got it.
The Saints head coach knows his limitations. The Merriam-Webster definition of metaphor, by the way, is, quote, a figure of speech in which a word or phrase literally denoting one kind of object or idea is used in place of another to suggest a likeness or analogy between them, like saying you're a peach.
Compare two things without using like or as. Thank you.
Simile uses like or as.
Yes. That is, you're taking me back to sixth grade English.
Yep.
What's a simile?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask.
Maybe we should ask Dennis Allen. It's like, if you go 0-4, it's going to be as if the wind is sweeping out of town. And you're like a strong, stiff, like a hurricane, just sweeping you away. How about that?
I got to be honest.
In other words, Maggie, your ass is grass. That's the metaphor.
If I was put on the spot like that as a reporter and someone said define metaphor, I would have just run out of the room. That would be so... That's hard. I mean, right? That's really hard.
I had it backwards. I thought metaphor had the like or as construction.
You went to Dartmouth.
I know, but like you use a metaphor in the normal speech, but to define it, like it's one of those things you just do. You don't sit there and define it. Like
I would say
this is incomprehensible.
I would counter. I'd be like, I don't know if I can define a metaphor, but I can define a verb, which is you'll be leaving if you lose with this team. Like, what do you want to do? It's not English class here. We're asking questions about football.
I kind of like the Saints.
With Dennis Allen?
I don't like
For
Dennis
what?
Allen, but I feel like if Derek Carr is healthy, man, he was tearing it up that last month. I know Kamara just got hurt too, but I feel like this team is going to be 9-8 and in the playoffs.
This is only by virtue of the division they play in.
Yeah, well, I know, but that's a fact anyway. We talked about, we started, Will Levis, the conversation started with a mayonnaise ad, and now we're getting into the fact that they're the same thing. Like, they could be sneaky good and make the playoffs. And then Dennis Allen gets to stay another year, and he can ask more questions.
Manny, you're again upset about this? What are you, the grammar police?
No, I'm done with the mayonnaise.
Oh, back to the mayonnaise. I thought
I'm
this
back
was
with the
about the
I've
metaphor.
heard mayonnaise about Will Levis again, and I'm about to get triggered again. Continue, please, Bogues.
Anything for you, Manny. More Dan Campbell. He said on Detroit radio this morning, quote, "I think we're going to be fine," when asked about the hamstring injury that running back Jahmyr Gibbs suffered in practice on Monday. They got the winning run on Monday on a wild pitch, a little more conventional last night for the Diamondbacks.
The set, the pitch. Jake swings and slams it fair. Inside the bag at third. Carroll scores. Del Castillo scores. D-backs win.
They were down to their last out when Jake McCarthy hit that game-ending 2-run single for a 4-3 decision over Colorado. Arizona has won 9 straight series, 17 of their last 20 games. The Padres have won 18 of 21 after shutting out the Pirates 3-zip. Pittsburgh has now dropped 9 in a row. Meanwhile, San Diego and Arizona stay 3.5 games behind the Dodgers in the West. LA, that 7-2 win in Milwaukee last night. It included home run number 37, all natural for Shohei Ohtani. Juan Soto, meanwhile, with his first career 3-homer game in the Yankees' 4-1 win at the White Sox. But Jazz Chisholm is on the shelf for now, a left UCL, left elbow issue. He got hurt slotting into home plate on Monday night. He's out indefinitely. Surgery has not yet been ruled out. And one last score from last night, the Twins roughed up the Royals 13-3, putting 2.5 games between them for the second AL wildcard. And Conor McGregor has responded to UFC President Dana White, saying yesterday that McGregor would not fight this year. Conor says he wants something in December and is telling White to make it happen. All of this because a June fight was canceled after McGregor suffered a toe injury in training. Just rub some mayo on it. He'll be fine.
Also, the toe injury happened when he was basically being recorded in every nightclub from Dublin to Vegas. Nothing to do with it. Didn't seem like he was really taking the pre-fight stuff seriously.
But now he wants back in. We've got 4 months to make this happen, Dana White.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You're sick of the Brandon Aiyuk story. I'm already sick of Dana versus Connor. Will this or won't this happen? But unlike Aiyuk and the 49ers, I think Dana and Connor already know the ending here, and we're just working backwards because this is all a work.
There is speaking of Aiyuk, there is a kind of fresh tweet from Jeremy Fowler, but it doesn't really seem to be new information, just saying that the Steelers are still interested. They haven't had real talks in the last couple of days because the re-signing in San Francisco is very much on the table, but the Steeler trade could happen with just one Niner phone call. But I feel like that we already knew when we woke up this morning.
Yeah.
Yawn.
You mentioned Jazz Chisholm is on the shelf now with did you guys see the story that he's recorded over like 100 songs?
I did not.
He's got a stage name called he's Prince Jazz. This is an article yesterday on Fox Sports. And he will unknowingly play his own music in the club. Not unknowingly. He will knowingly play his own music in the clubhouse for the Yankees. And no one else, none of his teammates know about this. It's just the clubbies, the attendants, and him. And he plays his own music.
And he sits back and watches their reaction?
Basically.
It's like a focus group?
Interesting. Like, is anyone bopping their head to this one? Playing your own music in the clubhouse. Is that thumbs up, thumbs down?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do that, no. I've also heard Aaron Judge is the king of the aux in the Yankee clubhouse. So, I mean, the fact that Chisholm can just walk in there, brand spanking new, just came in from Miami, Let me see that aux cord, Aaron, and then I'm just going to pump my own music. Let's chill out a little bit there.
You can take control of the aux, but if you play crap music, you're banned forever.
What if you play your own music? Then they might not have the heart to tell you, like, this stinks.
Well, if your own music is good, like Jose Iglesias with the OMG, I'm sure he played that.
And he's only got one song. Like that's.
How do you know what he's got?
Is he headlining Coachella?
No, he actually played Rye Playland on Monday night.
I
here in
saw
New York.
that. I saw that.
That
It's
is
a
not
banger of a
Coachella.
song, but we are coming to the end of that song.
Sorry, but all right. So if you play your own music and you've got one song, then you better hope the one song's good. If you have a couple songs, you need like if he has 5 songs that he is of his own, 3 of them are good.
Yeah.
That's a pass. You get to play. You get to play him.
I'm going to tell you this. If Jazz Chisholm actually had a song that was as good as the Jose Iglesias song, we'd know because Jazz Chisholm tells us everything about himself.
Would we?
Yes.
I don't know.
Definitely.
I think this is a foul on Jazz. I'm thinking about this more and more. That would be like me showing up to like my friend's house and like putting on a show where I'm putting on Maggie and Perloff. Like, I don't know. Like, would you guys go someplace and put on your own content?
Yes.
No, you would never do that. Really? Really, Boyle?
Pat's got a boombox walking down the street with his tape show.
His hot takes.
Have I told you my take about the
About
Yankees?
Sam Darnold?
I got
I
a
just
Sam
feel
Darnold
like
take
that'd
for
be
you.
the most pretentious thing. If I was like, oh, we want to guys want to listen to a podcast? Throw on my own podcast. Like, I mean, like, who does that? You gotta let, you can't do that.
Well,
you
if
gotta
Oh,
say,
what if
hey,
your-
I
do
have
your friends-
music.
Do your friends like listening to sports podcasts?
They do.
I
to
think
me-
that's kind of on you to be like, hey, man, listen to some of my stuff. Tell me what you think.
No, that's fine. I think you can you can say, hey, listen to my podcast. That's one thing. I think to be like, oh, you guys interested in podcasts? You guys interested in sports radio? Oh, let me turn on something.
Wait,
and it just happens to be you?
Can I ask about the listening habits of the group? And obviously our audience might be into this as well because clearly you like an audio medium if you're listening to our show. Do any of you guys listen to podcasts with other people?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, my God. No, of course not. I'm not a psycho.
Maybe. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't even. Okay, so maybe with your fiance, if you're driving somewhere, maybe you listen to Serial podcast or one of these murder mysteries or something, right? You're not listening to.
Or in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Remember, like Andrea could be making dinner. Maybe I'm helping her. Maybe I'm just hanging out, and she'll throw on a Bachelor podcast, and we'll listen to why
Valerie
Jen
Fuller
screwed up
ruined
this
Will
week.
Levis.
Yeah. Why Jen screwed up and what's going on with Victoria Fuller and Will Levis, and it's fine. I think it's cool.
If I'm listening to a podcast and I'm cooking and my husband walks in the room, I pause it.
Oh, that doesn't happen in that podcast. Sometimes I kind of like, and it's funny because there are times where like I feel like I do have to like tell Andrea something, and like the podcast just will be on, and sometimes I'll have to.
It's annoying. It's another person talking. It's not background music or something. I think it's rude.
Yeah, I'm with you. We tried to listen to things as a family during COVID, like at the dinner table, like let's put a podcast on, and like it's just weird to sit there and watch other people listen to something.
It's odd.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, this is not an FDR fireside chat. He's not telling us that, we're invading Normandy.
Because you would also want to interject some of your commentary for the group, and then you're missing what the person on the podcast is saying. It's very dumb.
It's not I find a very solo experience.
Missing out.
I don't think
Missing
so.
out.
855-212-4227 Bogus. Thank you so much. Coming up, calling foul on one of our favorite athletes. Hurts us to do this. But we have to do what we have to do. Keeping it real next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, got a couple things for you, including Manny. Actually, let's do our Aaron Rodgers here. I know I just asked you for 4 things in a row. I just got Manny's ear and basically gave him a top 5 list of all the things I need in 30 seconds. Let's do Rodgers first. Sorry for distracting you.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Okay, Rodgers, we talked about him earlier with IanOConnor, who has written a new book about Rodgers called Out of the Darkness. If you missed that conversation, you can always download the Maggie and Perloff podcast, which is great. And a 5-star review seems like a small thing, but it really does help us quite a bit. You could also hit the rewind function on the Odyssey app if you get the show that way. Here is Rodgers himself yesterday with our pals over at WFAN. He tells host Greg Giannotti that when he retires, he's not following the footsteps of Tom Brady. No chance he's going to the booth.
As much as you love football, you're going to be away from it. You're going to be doing different things and using that portion of your life to explore just other avenues as opposed to like ending up with somewhere in a booth next to Al Michaels or something.
I love Al Michaels, and that'd be, that'd be a dream, honestly. But no.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's what have you thought about where you're going to live?
No. Not extensively, or not anywhere I'd tell you.
So Rodgers having some fun, but Perloff, you are crying foul on this.
Well, I think he'd be a great analyst. Where was he was talking? It was either with the Manning. Yeah, it was on the Mannings where he was breaking down football. Like that guy is just really insightful, and he's much more entertaining than Tom Brady as a person. So he'd be the perfect color guy. The thing he says no, but he's going to retire, and I think athletes face a crisis, an identity crisis. They're going to offer him $450 million for 8 years, and he's not going to be able to turn that down. Because where's he going to make that money?
Do you think he
holds
Brady holds an appeal for Fox? He got the
375.
375. And that was not just to call games. It was also to like be an ambassador for Fox. So who knows if he's on shareholder calls and just basically being like a personal attaché for one of the Murdochs or whatever else he has to do to fulfill that contract. Do you think Aaron Rodgers holds that same appeal? Like palling around with Tom Brady. Yeah, Rodgers is awesome, I'm sure, but does he hold the same type of appeal as Brady?
No, you're right. He doesn't have that corporate appeal like that. But then again, think if you're Amazon and you need a boost.
Yeah.
I mean, what's a bigger name than Aaron Rodgers? He's probably more tune-in worthy than Brady. I think if Aaron Rodgers was doing Week 1 Thursday Night Football, I think it'd be huge. And they have money to burn, so yeah, I definitely think he'll get Brady money. Because the money's just going to keep on going up, and I think him playing coy would even make him more valuable to these. He'd be huge. I mean, who else is even close?
But would he miss Week 3 because he's in Egypt again?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was working all of October. I'm actually scaling the Andes Mountains. Might be unreliable.
You think about the recent retirees. Peyton is not going to do it. He's got his own thing going on now.
Yeah, he's got
who
a
else?
different avenue.
There's no one else like him out there. Nobody's retiring. Phillip Rivers doesn't have the same cachet. Big Ben, nobody cares about. I guess Eli, he's an Omaha, but there's nobody he's a 1-in-1 chance. So I think they would throw money at him.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, who's going to be these older quarterbacks? I don't think there's anyone even close right now. In 10 years, maybe. There's a lot of guys.
The Burrows and the Josh Allens.
There are a lot of young guys who will become valuable, but I don't know.
Kelsey. If Kelsey decided to go into the booth, but he's not a quarterback, but he's still got a lot going for him, including the Taylor Swift angle.
If you take the Taylor Swift angle out, he's the B crew.
Oh, no.
He's not
Kelsey's entertaining.
He's not the one, is he? Unless you bring Taylor Swift.
Meanwhile, she's down on the field, and now we go down to the field. It's not Pam Oliver, it's Taylor Swift giving us updates. Wow. Okay. IanOConnor agreed with you, by the way. He thinks that Rodgers will go into the booth and will be good as a commentator. Let's go to Bergie, who's in Florida. Now, we had a conversation about how similar are the Michigan and the Notre Dame fight songs, then got into who has the best fight song. Bergie, you have a thought?
I do, but just a quick Rodgers comment. Remember the British guy who was the doppelganger for Rodgers? That was pretty funny. He showed up at training camp.
They did a commercial together.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But anyway, on the fight songs, the one that annoys me the most, though, is, and you hear it through the TV the entire game, USC, it's
yeah.
You know that?
Yeah, the march, the fight on, the March of the Trojans, right?
It's just the entire game. That's all you hear.
Bergie, are you a Notre Dame fan? Is this a rivalry thing?
No, I'm a U of A guy. In fact, I'm Revenge of the Nerds guy extra.
Yes.
But anyway, so we never did anything in football, but
But there you are. Bergie, thank you. Can we hear a little USC fight song? Sorry, Bergie. Cover your ears for a minute. Let's hear a little USC fight song and see if we all think it's annoying. I don't think so. Perfectly good fight song.
What I was saying to Bergie, the tune he hummed is different from this. So I think that's maybe when they play, when they're on defense throughout the game.
Yes, because this is just the fight song.
Correct.
He's talking about the da-na-na-na-na-na-na. That's different, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And like Georgia's is very intimidating because obviously they've been so good. So I've like know to the heart what they play when they're on defense. And it's like the loud drums and the horns whenever the other team's got first, second, third, fourth down.
It's a song?
Well, it's just like da 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 da. I can imagine it being very intimidating when you've got 100,000 people screaming.
Well, I mean, Florida State is playing that thing all game long.
That's the one.
That gets stuck in you. You watch that game and you're like, oh my God, why am I humming that song?
Yes.
I mean, I'm a Miami fan, so I know I'm biased, but I'm sorry. That is the most annoying song.
Back in the day when
they bring it on the road. It's not just at home. Like when they come to Hard Rock, their band is there. They're still playing it after every first down, after every big defensive stop, and that's the worst. That to me is the most annoying fight chant, war chant, whatever you want to call it.
But you remember too when they were good too. I mean, when they were like
and then it's really annoying.
Oh my God, it was intimidating as all get out.
Your friend Big Cat had and PFT had Matthew Stafford on their podcast recently, and they asked Stafford. So apparently, one thing is people bark at him a lot. Because the Georgia fans kind of like have a shorthand with each other. It was like, woo, woo, and he refuses to do it. He said he won't do it. He doesn't even say go Dogs. If you go up to Matthew Stafford and you try to do the Georgia stuff, he will stonewall you.
I'm sorry, I missed that part. Do you say Georgia fans just bark at each other?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
you didn't
endearing.
know that, Danny?
That's endearing.
That's lame from Stafford.
That's what I thought. I was like, and he kind of admits, he's like, now that I'm saying it, like maybe I should probably give in a little bit, but he said he doesn't like it.
Good for Matthew Stafford for not wanting to bark at people.
It's a bark of endearment.
He's not a dog.
A Bark of Endearment. That's a good movie, Barks of Endearment.
A rom-com, perhaps?
We got to do
between Stafford's wife and the backup quarterback.
Oh my God.
She said it.
Oh, that's wow.
A little bit later in that movie, they watch a photographer fall off of a float.
Oh, now we're really getting dirty.
Now we're really airing the laundry.
We should do a great debate, not just best fight song, but best tradition. Like, like God in the Eye and all that stuff. Like, I mean, because that would be heated.
And there's new ones, too, that keep coming on the scene, like Mr. Brightside and stuff like that are more recent.
Yeah.
What's the swag surf and stuff like that?
Or, like, that's the fans, too. Like, what about, like, Howard's Rock and all the,
Howard's Rock.
And the sign in Notre Dame and, like, all these, like, and the Tebow statue. Like, there's just so much lore. That's, like, 80% of the sport.
All right, well, that will be next week's great debate. We'll do greatest college football tradition.
Greatest college football. Oh, man, that's going to be.
We're going to have to wait a whole week for this.
I mean, this is going to be.
Should we do it tomorrow? Should we just
abandon the protocols and do this tomorrow?
I think we should hype it up for a week and just get nominees. And because we really got to bring it for this. Like, we cannot. This is an area where you can't bring your B game like Oscar Pistorius for the Olympic scandal.
This is a huge scandal. Our great debate today was biggest Olympic scandal. Oscar Pistorius is one of the biggest fall from graces from an Olympian of all time.
Yeah, but that's like...
Why?
I just, the point of the Olympic scandal means something that happened during or around the Olympics.
You don't think he would have competed in the next one had he not shot his girlfriend?
That would have been like Bruce Jenner becoming Caitlyn Jenner. It happened. That's not an Olympic scandal. It happened 40 years afterwards. it wasn't at the Olympics.
This happened a couple months after he was the first Paralympian to ever compete in the Olympics. He was one of the biggest stars on planet Earth.
It wasn't during the Olympics. Hence, it was not an Olympic. It was a scandal involving an Olympian.
I think that counts.
Also, too, we all did like fun, like little steroids or something. Ryan Lochte, and you have this horrible murder case.
Yeah, steroids, hilarious.
Ryan Lochte, that was so funny.
Not to him.
Fun little Brazilian little trip down there.
He lied to everybody and lost all of his sponsors. I'm sure that was not fun to him.
Little shenanigans in Rio.
It was on brand.
Drunk and
totally on brand. He was partying and got in an altercation with a gas station attendant and made up a whole crime. Sorry, it's a little different.
Well, you can go vote who had the biggest Olympic scandal. Perloff is probably going to win this one with Nancy Kerrigan. I understand it. That was a big one. Why? Speaking of Olympics, got an update for you. Now that 2024 in France is done, Perloff, the next Summer Olympics is going to be in LA, which is going to be awesome. Dr. Dre, kid you not, the Dr. Dre is planning to try out for the 2028 Olympics. I'll give you a guess of what sport he would possibly be competing in. Let me get his age for you. Dr. Dre is...
What sport would Dr.
59.
He's in great shape, so I'm going to say javelin.
No.
Some
You're
strength
not that
thing.
far off, though, but not javelin. Anyone else want to give a guess as to what Dr. Dre wants to compete in the Olympics? He says he's going to try out.
I will go
Shooting.
with...
Huh. Well, that'd be more...
That's on brand.
It's a little on brand for the old Dr. Dre.
3v3 basketball.
No, he's too
that's
old
Ice
for
Cube's
that.
game.
Yeah.
Shooting.
Wrong band.
That's what EJ said, shooting.
Oh, sorry.
It's archery. Apparently, he's really gotten into archery. He's been into it his whole life, going back to junior high. I'm like, did Compton Junior High have an archery team? I wouldn't have expected that, but from the songs and stuff, the imagery. But he's got like all this whole setup in his backyard where he's shooting from like 90 feet. Archery. Dr. Dre. Los Angeles.
Archery is cool.
2028.
I love I would want to do archery.
Yeah.
I said that last week.
Archery
Like ever since
intense.
Green Arrow, Hawkeye, they're all awesome. Like
Yeah, if you actually watch the Olympics, like it's so intense. Like you have to calm your nerves to the point where like your body's not moving at all when you let go.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you were doing a shooting event or archery or whatever, would you be more like that guy from, what was it, Turkey?
Yusuf Dikic.
Humani, who just had like the hand in one pocket, one arm out, or the other guy who was like dressed out head to toe like a superhero? You know, the two images of these two dudes. One guy
my answer.
taking it really seriously and the other guy being very casual.
Superhero, sign me up. You already know my answer.
I know, EJ. I hope Dr. Dre makes it. Then we get Snoop and Dre. Snoop doing the commentary, Dre doing the archery, and it's like we're all back to 1994.
Yeah, more Snoop at the Olympics. Great. I mean, Jesus, does anyone not get sick of that by the end of the Olympics?
I think you're on an island here because you watched so
Oh,
much.
my God. Give me more Brandon Aiyuk trade rumors and Snoop Dogg covering random events at the Olympics.
Did you guys talk about how much he reportedly got paid to do for that?
Yeah.
$500K?
A
day.
$500,000 a day.
He actually earned it, but that dude worked hard that 2 weeks.
You're right.
But,
Really did.
yeah, I need a 4-year break from the Olympics. I am sorry.
Well, you don't
That's
get
exactly
4
what
years.
you get.
Good
From
news.
the
Good news,
summer.
Perloff.
No, you get 2 from the winter.
The odds of me watching...
Winter Olympics, not as much gravitas as the summer.
Speed skating.
Same.
I'm more likely to watch an in-season NBA tournament than 1 second of the Winter Olympics.
Wait, you don't watch figure skating? I'm calling horseradish on that.
I don't even watch the Summer Olympics, to be honest. Like, I'm not a big Olympic guy, but I watch zero. Especially the one, wasn't it in China? That whole thing was ethically
Pyongyang.
questionable.
It was in South Korea.
Yeah.
Was there one in China? There was a Summer Olympics in Beijing.
Didn't Russia hold off invading Ukraine so that China could host the Winter Olympics?
Oh, that does sound familiar.
2022. Yeah, the Winter Olympics is not a thing. And also, unfortunately, it's sort of fallen off.
See, I disagree. I think that figure skating is almost just as
Who won
popular
figure skating last time?
as gymnastics. Well, they don't have a Simone Biles right now.
Who won? What's the last
I
winner
can tell you
since-
Michelle Kwan, Oksana Bayul. I can name you like
Yeah,
6
I know.
figure
Those
skaters.
are 20 years ago.
Brian Boitano. Prince of a man, by the way.
They need to bring back NHL players to the Winter Olympics. Bring them back.
Facts.
Yeah, I agree.
Major facts.
Oh, sorry. This is so aside. Do you guys want like the MLB players to play in the Olympics, like the Dream
Yes.
Team?
I would like that, yes.
Definitely.
Take 2 weeks off of a full baseball season, which is already super long.
Yeah, what does it matter? I
Shorten
want
the
that
season every 4 years.
But I also want the NFL players playing flag football, but I think it's not going to be fair at that point. Like, you're going to have no competition. If Caleb Williams was talking about Hard Knocks last night about how he wants to play flag football in 2028, like, the rest of the world, it's not even going to be fun. If you have the Americans are in it, they're going to dominate. It's like, what are we doing?
I don't know. You'd like to see the Netherlands get that gold medal? Who cares?
Let's see, it's how you game. Thank you to Pat Boyle. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to EJ Stewart, Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Guidos, Coffee Drinkers. You all know who you are. And Ian O'Connor, who joined us today, was a delight. See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.